Stories number 1. Aita for not telling my fiancé that my late partner was a man. I, 29M, lost my fiancé 4 years ago in a car accident. He and I were both 25 at the time and had been together since we were 19. If soul mates are real, he was mine. He was stubborn, he preferred a way earlier bedtime than I did, and was a major homebody, and I loved all of it. He would stay up with me until he was sure I fell asleep, and weekly movie theater outings, planned by him, became a thing like a month into us meeting. I am a fundamentally different person both because I met him and because of my grief. I was shown what real love and effort and care feels like. I also don't talk about him, I go to therapy once a week. Otherwise, it's silence on that topic from me. He lives on in me in the ways I try to emulate him. I practice the patience he had that I always struggle to find. I go after career-related opportunities that scare me because I know he would encourage me to. Sometimes I let myself stay in bed because I know he'd be gentle with me and let me do that too. But I don't talk about him and I probably never will. I'll make the occasional, "Oh, X would have loved this," comment when I'm with friends who knew him well. With strangers, nothing. My friends and family respect that, as well. I'm engaged again. My fiancé, 31F, obviously knows I was engaged before. I pretty much told her my last partner passed away and I don't talk about it. I don't use social media in really any capacity anymore, but she happened to stumble upon an old Instagram profile of mine recently and saw him heavily featured. This led to her accusing me of purposefully keeping this from her. I don't really see why his gender matters and I told her so. She said I've broken her trust. Times like these are when I long for the life I was living before. But grief fucked up my brain, so I'm not sure if I'm being insensitive. Edit, she knew I am bisexual. The only thing she didn't know was that my fiancé was a man. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you kept the fact he was a man a secret because you knew it would be an issue. Reply, I live in a very liberal area and I've never heard my fiancé express any bigoted views. I wouldn't be in this relationship if I had. I wrongly assumed that it was a complete non-issue. Edit, she knows I'm bisexual and has known for our entire relationship. Commenter 2, even worse. So if your partner would not be okay with you being bisexual, then you'd qualify her as bigoted? You're full of yourself, get help, and if you care about her, get away and don't hurt her more. Reply, she is okay with me being bisexual. The only thing she wasn't aware of was that my late fiancé was a man. But to answer your question, yes. I do think not dating someone simply on the grounds of their orientation is bigoted. But it does usually save me trouble when dating, because it helps weed people out. The STD argument lets me know they're ignorant, and the "now I have to worry about girls and guys" shows insecurity or some kind of inherent lack of trust. Commenter 3, oof, some of these comments are rough. Here's my perspective as a widow. You need to talk to your therapist about this. Not Reddit. Most people have no idea what it's like to lose so much and just how much that loss shapes you. But also, it's concerning to me that he sounds like such a big part of your internal life, but you've never even mentioned him with your current partner. Before you get married, you need to dig into why you've compartmentalized this to such an intense degree. Why are you hiding him? What are you afraid of? If I'm being generous, I think seeing that your late fiancé was a man shocked your fiancé into realizing that she knows absolutely nothing about this major part of you. Reply, I really appreciate your comment, thank you. It's very thoughtful. I don't think there's anything I'm necessarily scared of, but I am very protective of his memory. Sharing him with someone he didn't choose to share his story with kind of freaks me out in a way. I don't know. I'm aware that's irrational. Then there's the risk that the new partner would get tired of hearing about him or otherwise insecure about it, and that makes me really uncomfortable to think about too. So I guess I just keep him safe in me and my mind, and it protects me too. On if the fiancé was having an issue with the previous partner's gender. Reply, because the gender issue is all she has fixated on, at least during our conversation. Also, it makes me uncomfortable to be with someone who is okay with my bisexuality in theory but not in practice. If the thought of me having sex or being romantic with a man in the past makes the other person insecure, I'm not really down for that. I come out to any potential romantic partners early on, so I thought I had already done my due diligence in that regard. I probably should have been more open. But I didn't anticipate that I needed to have a second coming out where I admit that me saying I'm bisexual actually means I'm bisexual. Like, not just in the "I like kissing dudes in bars" kind of way, but in the romantic morning sex 6 years into a relationship way. Update. I figured I'd go ahead and post an update before I return to my all-lurk, no post comment Reddit life. Yesterday, I had an emergency therapy session because I was spiraling and didn't feel prepared to tackle the upcoming conversation with my fiancé without one. It was hard but necessary as I was finally honest about just how much I was compartmentalizing my grief. It laid the foundation for where I'd like to go moving forward. Now I have to put in the legwork. The few hours between my therapy appointment and my fiancé getting off work was evidence of just how avoidant I've become. It was a conversation we needed, but definitely not one I wanted. When we finally sat down to talk, I asked her to start us off by telling me exactly what was bothering her about the whole situation. She said because I had come out to her in a casual way, the way I come out to anyone, by mentioning it early on when it seems natural to bring up, she didn't realize how serious I was and this made her look at me differently. She apologized for that and suggested that if I told her more about him now, it might be an easier pill for her to swallow. I tried, but there was this knot in my stomach the entire time I tried to pick a place to start. And maybe this is me being cruel, not giving her the benefit of the doubt, but it just didn't feel right. She hadn't come and said, I was shocked because I realized how little I know about this time in your life. Would you be open to talking about it now? Instead it felt like, tell me what you saw in him so I can attempt to rationalize your orientation. I told her I needed some time, so she went to stay elsewhere for the weekend. A longtime good friend of mine came over this morning. I think the combination of anonymously talking more openly about my partner here as well as being more open with my therapist helped remind me of how joyous and cathartic it could be. I don't know the exact catalyst, but I do know I spilled my guts. We talked for hours about things I haven't told anyone in years. I expressed how nervous I was about possibly living alone again and I was told that I didn't ever have to worry about that an SOS text message would be all it took for me to have company if I needed it. Same goes for all my friends and family. I'm so lucky I have an incredible support system. 5 minutes into that hours-long conversation, I already knew. The trust, security, and love I felt made room for this newfound openness. The absence of any one of those marks a relationship DOA, and is why I felt physically ill trying to share his memory with her. I truly wish her the best. I think going our separate ways will be good for both of us. We weren't getting what we needed from each other. She's supposed to be coming back tomorrow, so we'll have the talk then. I have lots of work to do but for tonight, I get to be reminded of what safety feels like. Edit. Please see this comment where I elaborate on the conversation she and I had. There seems to be this misunderstanding where I blame her for everything because she didn't perfectly respond to the situation. Two things can be true, I wasn't open, I am largely accountable for the problems in this relationship and I never should have entered it if I wasn't ready. She also said ignorant things. I'm not angry about it and it's certainly not the sole reason we're breaking up. It's just another reason, on the pile of reasons why this isn't sustainable. Me still not feeling comfortable enough to share with her, me blaming her for everything, or even the majority. It was just the final nail in the coffin between maybe we can make this work with a lot of effort and this needs to end now. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you're human and you're grieving. You made mistakes, you're admitting to them, you're working through stuff. Just wanted to encourage you not to get too caught up in everyone here piling on. I get your concerns about possible biphobia, too. None of us were there in that conversation, and our opinions don't matter much anyway because we're not in your relationship. Go in peace. Best wishes for your continued healing and personal growth. Reply, thank you, sincerely. It can be easy to get so focused on what people are getting wrong that I get stuck doom scrolling. The conversation I had with her left me sick to my stomach and uncomfortable. I'm definitely not excusing the choices I made, this could have been rectified much earlier had I been open. But it seems like everyone here is just brushing off my experience of the discussion we had, one where I specifically opened the floor to explain why she freaked out so much about his gender. Her answers didn't strike me as something that would lead to either of us being happy long term. Yeah. My nose has been in my phone long enough. Time to turn it off for the night and enjoy the real world. I appreciate you and your understanding. Commenter 2, you said you were extremely nervous before this conversation. Is it possible that you had predetermined that it would go badly, and made a self-fulfilling prophecy out of your anxieties? Were your uncomfortable feelings caused by something concretely biphobic that she actually said, or by your own nerves, which caused you to interpret anything she said in the worst possible light? Did you communicate this discomfort to her? Did you ask her how she was feeling? Is it possible your feelings could be the result of a clash between your avoidant nature and being forced to confront the problem? And her not having the perfect answers validated your feelings and desire to run, again. Grief sucks and it can warp our perspective of everyone else in our lives, including ourselves. I hope you have a good therapist and are committed to honesty and working on yourself. Reply, is it possible that you had predetermined that it would go badly, and made a self-fulfilling prophecy out of your anxieties? No. I was nervous, but I went in with an open mind. I knew I likely needed to end the relationship or at least pump the brakes, but that doesn't mean I went in guns blazing against her. I wasn't showing up in the way I needed to. We hadn't started planning the wedding yet, and I knew now that that would likely be much farther down the line than originally anticipated if things went well during our talk. I had a lot I needed to work through, and I didn't know if she would want to stay for that. Were your uncomfortable feelings caused by something concretely biphobic that she actually said, or by your own nerves, which caused you to interpret anything she said in the worst possible light? She said she didn't realize how serious I was about being bisexual when I had already come out to her. She also that made her look at me differently and apologized for that. To me, there's only one interpretation of that. I came out to her early on, but she didn't take my sexuality as fact until she saw me with a man, and now she looks at me differently. And despite just devoting a paragraph to that conversation, it was much longer than that in person. I asked her to elaborate and she doubled down on what she said. She was apologizing to me for seeing me differently and asking me to share memories of my late fiancé to make this an easier pill to swallow. The pill to swallow wasn't my engagement and it wasn't her lack of knowledge about it. The pill to swallow was, very specifically, the fact that she now saw me differently because I was in a serious, long-term relationship with a man. Did you communicate this discomfort to her? Did you ask her how she was feeling? Yes and yes. Like I said, long conversation where I opened the floor to her first and then asked clarifying questions. Is it possible your feelings could be the result of a clash between your avoidant nature and being forced to confront the problem? And her not having the perfect answers validated your feelings and desire to run. Again, I didn't need perfect answers. I've been imperfect all throughout this relationship. We're here because I've been avoidant and messy and human. I am at fault here big time for not being open from the start. And I extend grace to her for having to put up with that. I'm sorry I didn't have this conversation sooner, and that I jumped into something I wasn't ready for. What I needed was any shred of evidence that her problems with all of this stemmed from my lack of openness as opposed to him being a man suddenly forcing her to take my sexuality seriously. I didn't get that. And I'm not even really angry at her for that. I don't understand why people are acting like I'm being hostile towards her. We're just not compatible. That's another reason to add to the pile. I'm not going to go into our next conversation blaming her for everything. I am going to reiterate how it made me feel and encourage her to take bisexuality serious from the jump, though. But that's just one part of a much larger talk where I will take accountability and apologize for wasting her time when I couldn't give her all of me. Mini update. I wanted to thank everyone for this sudden influx of nice comments and messages. I woke up to quite a few notifications and saw that I now have 80 followers here. I'm probably not going to stick around on this account, so I'm not sure if those follows are warranted, but I appreciate all the kind words all the same. I ended my relationship a week ago and honestly, I've been enjoying single life. I was so terrified of living alone again, and I'm sure the loneliness will kick my ass at some point, but man, it's kind of really nice. I think my last relationship was an excuse for me to continue hiding from and suppressing my emotions myself. I feel freer now. I feel more open. It's hard and painful, but I also feel like I'm remembering parts of myself that I lost or spent 4 years shoving into a box. I went out Friday night. That's something I haven't done since before my life changed so drastically. I steered clear from alcohol for a long time because I was really terrified of the possibility of self-medicating with it. Now, I trust myself with moderation. I went out, had a few drinks, and danced with friends. I used to feel intense guilt for being happy. It wasn't rational and I've outgrown that. Now, I just wish he was here. I miss running back from the dance floor to where he was talking to friends. I miss having someone waiting for me. I miss acting like it was such a hassle to leave early upon his request when really, I was looking forward to being home with my best friend. And yes, I miss the sex. I haven't had good sex in so long it should be considered a national emergency. But yeah. Single life is good so far. Thanks again for the compassion and understanding. Relevant comments. How did OOP's ex take the breakup? And what about his best friend who has been there for him? Reply, I have purposely avoided speaking about the breakup conversation here. I'm not interested in sharing the details. She does have friends and family in the area, she'll be fine. My friend is amazing and very special to me. I'm immensely grateful for him and all the friends in my life I truly trust. I would be doing both of us a major disservice by pursuing him romantically so soon after a failed relationship where one of the lessons I learned, among many, is that I'm not ready yet. The thought of getting into another relationship makes my head feel cluttered. That's the best way I can describe it. Thinking about sharing my life with someone else in that way right now makes my brain turn on a no-signal channel that's just playing TV static. Update 2. A quick TLDR, my, at the time, fiancé found out I was previously engaged to a man. She had a very negative reaction despite already knowing I was bisexual. I ultimately decided to end the engagement. I felt unsupported, distrustful of her, and I didn't want to be in a relationship with someone who discredited and disregarded my sexuality. It's been 7 months. It feels like a lifetime ago. I was still in such a fog back then. I'm not sure if this update is even allowed since the issue has technically already been resolved. The question was Aita for not telling her about my late partner's gender, and now that relationship is over. The conflict doesn't exist anymore. She and I haven't spoken, and I don't ever want to again. That entire relationship was a huge mistake from start to finish. I just wanted to drop in and say I'm seeing someone. We've been officially dating for about a month. He knew me from before my partner passed, and I feel like I'm slowly making progress in finding that person again. I spent a long time trying to emulate my late partner as a way of honoring him. I respect and love him so much, present tense, and I wanted to encapsulate the way he was. My boyfriend likes to remind me that he wouldn't want me to be him. He would want me to be me. That's been so helpful, along with lots of therapy. And the national emergency mentioned at the end of this post, order has been restored, the troops can stand down, etc. Relevant comments. Does OOP's current partner know about his late partner? Reply, yes. My current partner has known me, and knew my late partner, for a long time. He's the friend I mentioned in my first update. He fully understands the journey I've been on because he's been right there with me for most of it. Our relationship was platonic but has now blossomed into something really beautiful and healing. Commenter 1, wow. I'm not particularly woke, but some of these comments genuinely surprised me. Personally, it's much stranger to me that his ex never bothered to learn the gender of his former fiancée than it is that he never considered it important to bring up the gender to her. Weird. Anyway, I'm happy for OP, glad you're with someone who makes you happy, and doesn't judge you for the gender of your previous partners. Wait, maybe I am woke. Oh no, that's a chilling thought. Stories number 2. Aita for telling my wife I'd have never asked her out if I knew she was a sugar baby. I've been with my wife for 5 years, married a little over 1 year. I was some cleaning, and something I never noticed before was my wife's old jewelry. I know she had it, but I never noticed just how expensive looking it was. I asked my wife out of curiosity, where did she get these and how much they were. She told me they were from an ex and Ray cost an ASSLOAD. She told me before she only had one ex, back in high school and a bit of college. I asked her how the hell a high school kid afforded these. She looked confused, and I reminded her that she told me about her one ex. There was an awkward silence and I told her what was up with her. Did she have another ex? And if so, why did she tell me she only had one? She tried to play it off, but I pressed her for it, and she confessed she had several sugar daddies for about 3 years. I was mad but kept calm. I asked why she never told me she was a prostitute. She tried to give me a spiel about how it's more like a relationship, but with gifts and shit, and I told her to cut the crap. She told me she was afraid I was gonna judge her. I told her I was seriously mad, and she shouldn't have kept this from me. She says, does it matter? And I told her of it matters. She asked me why, and I told her I'd have never asked her out in the first place if I knew. And that she straight up lied to me when she told me she only had one ex. She told me she did only have the one ex, and that just pissed me off more, and told her, didn't you just say the sugar crap was more like a relationship? She did cry, and said sorry, and she'd do anything to make it up to me. I told her I need some space. I'm pissed. I do love my wife, but I feel robbed of my decision. I do mean what I said. I'd have never asked her out if I knew back then. Comments. Commenter 1. Talk to your wife when you are both calm. She is clearly embarrassed by this. Speak your concerns to her and listen to her answers. Work this out with her, not on Reddit. Commenter 2. She told me she was afraid I was gonna judge her. So that's her policy. If I did something that might make me look bad, I'll hide it from the person that it would matter to. I know lots of people on Reddit would say, the past doesn't matter, but that's total BS. Of course the past matters. Some people don't mind dating someone who was a sugar baby, others do. But it's important to not hide this from your potential partner and let them make the choice. Commenter 3. The past matters less when you are open and transparent to it and use it as a tool to learn from the past. But as soon as portions of the past are hidden or dismissed, yes, the past is now important. Update. So I'm staying with my wife. I still don't like that she hid this from me. But I'm staying with her. But I stand by 2 things I said. She was a prostitute. Some of you kept saying, sugar babies don't always have sex with their clients and like whatever. By my wife's own admission. She did sleep with her clients, so yeah, prostitute. I'm not gonna pretend she wasn't. Some of y'all are actually delusional though. Just because she wasn't out in a street corner doesn't mean she wasn't a prostitute. She fucked for money. I do know I'd have broken up with her if I knew earlier. That's the truth. If I were single again, I wouldn't date someone who was a prostitute. Do I think prostitutes don't deserve to get married? Nope. But that ain't for me. Anyway, things have gone back to normal for us. She's actually sold the jewelry her clients got for her. Not at my request, she did this on her own. There hasn't been any major drama between us since. We had an open heart-to-heart. I did tell her that what I said was true. I wouldn't have asked her out if I knew. And I told her maybe it was a good thing she didn't tell me, since we do have a wonderful life together. But that doesn't mean her being dishonest was a good thing. She and I decided to put this behind us. But I did tell her that if she has any more secrets like that, she needs to tell me right now, and if I ever found out something about her like this, we're done. I also wanted to address one little thing. Some of you all were like, no wonder she didn't tell you. She knew you were an insecure asshole. Or something like that. So are you all willing to marry assholes? Seriously, I don't comprehend this logic. It's not like I forced my wife to marry me. If she knew I was an insecure asshole, why exactly did she decide to marry an insecure asshole? What? Would you marry an asshole as long as you lied to them to make sure they never find out about your past? Comments. Commenter 1. You had the right attitude and were being honest. If her behavior is truly in the past, good on you for forgiving her. Reply. I figured I could either be right or I could be happy. I choose to try and be happy. Commenter 2. To be happy you need to go to counseling to actually work through your feelings because you still come across as very bitter. Having resentment build up over time will just hurt you and her. Update. So thanks to a very understanding comment from my last post, seriously, thank you, my wife and I have gone to counseling. We had some very deep conversations about us, trust, and what our expectations were. We were lucky enough to find a really good therapist very soon. It hasn't been that long, but I actually feel like our relationship is stronger than ever. I apologized to her profusely for what I said to her. I recognized that it was needlessly hurtful, and she apologized for lying about it. She recognized she did hide this from me. We cried, we hugged, we talked. We have gotten closer than ever now. We talk more openly about our feelings, and well, both our sex drives have gone up a lot. It's hard to explain, but it feels like we broke through a barrier neither of us knew was there. I don't feel upset anymore. My heart feels lighter. It felt like a grip had just let go of it. My wife says she feels the same. I feel really good now. And I feel like I fell in love with my wife all over again. Comments. Commenter 1. Update us in a year. I wish you two the best, but anyone that can marry you while holding a secret that huge has more. Commenter 2. Yeah man, that's rough. She was a prostitute and didn't think it important enough to tell you before marriage. Usually I'd say that's trust severely broken, but I guess this type of prostitutes heavily lie to themselves to be able to pretend they aren't. You both are in a tough spot now. You know your wife was a prostitute and she knows you know she was. That's really tough man. Hope it plays out well for you, no matter how that looks. Reply. You both are in a tough spot now. We were, I'll admit it. But I do think we are past that now. Stories number 3. AIO my BF asked me for a paternity test as a joke. Pretty much what the title says. I have a 4-month-old son with my boyfriend who I've been with for a little over 2 years. I'm 21 and he's 26 if that matters. Last night he worked overtime so he didn't get home until midnight. He gave me a hug and then just randomly asked me if our son was really his, or should we get him tested to be sure. I was pissed, and I woke up today still pissed. I talked to him about it this morning and he said I shouldn't be mad because it wasn't a real question, and it was supposed to be funny. But I'm not laughing, I'm angry. I've never cheated on him before and I've never given him a reason to think I was, so the whole thing is just really odd. Am I right to be this angry or am I overreacting here? He swears he didn't mean it but he hasn't apologized, and if it really was a joke it wasn't funny at all. Is this enough to leave him over? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I think paternity tests should be mandatory at birth, no core guessing or second guessing, no, just factual. I don't know why people get insulted. How can it ever be a bad thing to get it in black and white? Especially if there is nothing bad happening. Reply. If he had asked me 4 months ago, just to have it and it was a real conversation where he explained his reasoning, then why not? I'm more angry because it feels like he thinks I would have another man's baby, and pass it off as his. Commenter 2. Hate to be that one, but is he possibly projecting? Seems to be a pattern that when they are up to no good they get in first with accusations. Reply. I hadn't even thought of this. It's not that I think he's cheating, I just hadn't thought of the possibility that he could be projecting and that's why he brought it up. It's not really fair though that if he was cheating, I'd have no way to know, but I'd still be expected to spend money on a paternity test that I already know the results of. Update. Yesterday I made a post asking if I was overreacting to my BF randomly asking me for a paternity test, and I got a bunch of comments that I meant to reply to, but more happened last night, so I figured I would just post an update here for anyone who was interested. My plan was to just explain to him why I was hurt, and then ask him for his reasoning for asking for the test and why he waited 4 months to just randomly start questioning if he's my child's father. Or, if it was just a joke like he said, ask him why he thought that would be funny in the first place. I just wanted a real conversation. But what happened was, I told him how hurt and angry I felt and why, and he threatened to end his own life if I left him. I hadn't even threatened to break up with him or said anything about ending the relationship, so that's a wrap on that. I will get him a paternity test if he really wants one, but the relationship is over. I can't be with someone who would try to manipulate me into staying with them like that. The plan right now is to get everything in order for me and my son and start looking for places to live. Thank you to everyone who read the original post and took the time to give me advice. A lot of you thought he was cheating and projecting, but I don't know if that's the case, and honestly right now I don't even think I want to know. I appreciate all the feedback. Sorry this is so long. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. That's the right idea. The "I'll kill myself if you break up with me" guys are awful. It is a little surprising it took until this point for him to pull this bad behavior. Were there no signs earlier in the relationship? Reply. There may have been signs that I missed. He's never threatened to harm himself before though. We've had small arguments before, but this behavior is new for him. Commenter 2. Well, that escalated quickly. If all of this is enough reason to deprive the kid of his father, but I trust you know what you are doing. Reply. Despite what he said, I am willing to help ensure that if he really is serious about taking his own life he gets the help and support he needs, and still let him see his son. I have no interest in completely shutting him out of our baby's life if he proves he is mentally stable. Stories number 4. Aita for telling my fiance's daughter I'm not her mom after she called me a gold digger with a uterus. Yeah, that's what she said. Buckle up. I, 32F, have been with my fiance, 38M, for almost 4 years. He has a daughter, 15F, from his first marriage. Her mom is very much in the picture, but she's more of a wine and vibes parent than someone who actually parents. I've been the one handling school stuff, doctor's appointments, making actual meals instead of Postmates every night, helping her through panic attacks, you name it. Now I never tried to replace her mom, but I've been a consistent, caring adult in her life. I even helped plan her last birthday party when her mom completely forgot the date. Like I've seriously bent over backwards for this kid. Fast forward to last weekend. We're at this fancy dinner with my fiance's family, first time his extended family has met me, so I'm trying to make a good impression. Midway through, his daughter turns to me, smiles sweet as pie, and goes, "So how does it feel being a gold digger with a uterus?" "That's what mom says you are." Whole table stops. Someone chokes on their wine. I just sat there stunned for a second and said, "Oh, honey. I'm not your mom. I just happen to be the woman keeping your life together while she's out getting her chakras aligned." Fiancé was mortified. His daughter burst into tears and stormed out. He later said I stooped to her level and that I need to apologize because she's just a kid repeating what she hears. I told him I've spent years being disrespected and taking the high road, and maybe the real problem is that a 15-year-old is walking around thinking she can say things like that and not get clapped back at. Now his family is split, some think I was too harsh, others say I just finally said what no one else would. So, Aita for finally telling this girl I'm not her mom when she decided to come for me in front of the whole damn family. Stories number 5. Aita for telling my mom I'll never forgive her if she fucks up my adoption. I've, 14F, been living with my aunt, my mom's sister, since I was 8. It was originally because of an issue with her ex-boyfriend and CPS placed me with my aunt. Then she used to say she couldn't handle 4 kids as a single mom, so I had to stay with my aunt. Then we just didn't talk for a few years. My aunt has been trying to adopt me for years. We're finally able to try to get my mom's parental rights terminated because she didn't speak to any of us or send money or anything for 4 years. I really like living with my aunt. On Tuesdays we go out to eat. She says we take turns choosing the restaurant, but I get to choose almost every week. On Fridays we order pizza and watch a movie and eat ice cream in our pajamas on the couch. When I started middle school she started taking me to get my nails done with her, so now we do that every other Saturday, and at least once a month, sometimes more during summers or school breaks, we get to visit her condo in the mountains. There's a little beach, and the past couple years she's been letting me hang out with my friends or alone by the beach or downtown or at the pool or wherever, as long as I keep my location on my phone and I'm home by the time it gets dark. After my mom got notice that her rights were going to be terminated, she got in contact with my aunt and started emailing my old email address saying she misses me and she wants to see me. She sent me pictures of her new family and she's sending my aunt money so she can say she's a part of my life and she's taking care of me. My aunt told me not to contact my mom yet and to let her take care of everything. I listened for a while, then my mom sent me a picture of a bed at her house with a bunch of shopping bags on it and she said that's my bed and she has presents for me and she can't wait for me to come home. I emailed her back and told her that I don't want to live with her. I haven't seen her or talked to her for 4 years and I don't even know who half the people in the picture she sent me are. I also said that I really love living here and that if she fucks up my adoption I'll never forgive her and I'll never speak to her after I turn 18. My mom called my aunt crying about what I said and my aunt got mad at me because she told me not to contact my mom. Now I'm wondering if I was the asshole for contacting my mom when I wasn't supposed to and being rude to her. Stories number 6. Aita for denying my sister's lies in front of her in-laws. I am 25F and have an older sister Kate 30F. She and I were never close due to our age difference and because she hated that our dad married my mom and had me after divorcing her mother. Kate claims dad told her he never loved her mother and that my mom was his true love, that our dad always compared the two of us and asked her why she has to be a difficult child and that overall dad loved me more. On the other hand, dad claims nothing she says is true, that she was very problematic and insolent. These claims are backed up by my mother and dad's parents, so I assume Kate was never 100% honest. Anyways, these are their problems that do not concern me. Some time ago Kate reached out to me and told me she got engaged. I said congrats and everything. She told me she has a favor to ask. She told me her MIL is very family oriented and it does not sit well with her that Kate is estranged from her family. In her words, future MIL considered something is also wrong with Kate and she is also to blame for being no contact with her family, fearing Kate will also influence her son to do the same thing. What Kate wanted from me was for me to meet her in-laws for them to see she does not hate her family. I joked that future MIL sounds a little insane and I agreed to help her because at the end of the day I never hated her and I don't think she hated me neither. The fact we are not close does not mean we hate each other or want bad things to happen to the other one. Anyways, I went to meet Kate, her future husband and her MIL and FIL at a restaurant. They are very nice people and very warm. At some point MIL said something along the lines that she is happy to see that the abuse we suffered did not affect our sisterly bond. I was confused and asked what abuse is she talking about while Kate tried to change the subject. MIL says it's okay, I have nothing to be ashamed of and that she knows from Kate our parents abused us while growing up. I clarified that this is not true, we were never abused by our parents or anyone in our family, we were raised in a very loving family, we were never hit or spanked no matter what we did, our parents are well off so we always had everything we wanted, clothes, phones, laptops, cars etc. MIL got very angry. She apologized to me and started insulting my sister. She called her a liar, accused her of being manipulative and trying to insert herself into their family by being dishonest. What happens is that Kate accused our parents of many things that are not true. Now Kate is accusing me of ruining her life. She says her engagement is over, the in-laws hate her and her fiancé does not trust her anymore. The thing is I don't think I did anything wrong. I cannot sit and hear people blasting my parents for her lies and for things that never happened. But still, Aita for telling the truth. Aita has no consensus but, OOP received the majority of NTAs and few YTAs. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA Kate made a decision to lie and then it bit her in the ass. Sounds like she made her bed and she can lie, haha, in it. Seriously though, how dumb is she? If she told her future MIL something that big, of course she would bring it up to you. And if Kate expected you to lie for her, she really is special. And not in the good way. In the eats paste way. Reply, I assume she never expected her MIL to be so blunt and tell me. But yeah, it's stupid. Commenter 2, while your sister did lie about the abuse, I'd like to gently point out that you and your sister did not have the same childhood experiences, and none of the family members whom you consulted regarding events that you were too young to remember are exactly impartial. You were raised by two biological parents who loved one another. Your sister was not. Every child is traumatized to some degree by their parents' divorce, and that trauma doubles then triples when a parent goes on to remarry and have children with a new partner. They feel abandoned and replaced, and for some, the hurt is overwhelming and never fades. So while your older sister wasn't abused, she did experience significant childhood trauma, what child psychologists and psychiatrists call adverse childhood experiences, or ACE, that you did not. Reply, I agree. This is also the reason why I don't get too involved in this drama. I asked around because I was curious, I got two very different scenarios and I believe the truth is somewhere in between. But at the end of the day I cannot know for sure because I did not witness everything that happened. I was kept away from many discussions. We did not share the same experiences at the same time due to the age difference, and their relationship is their business. But knowing my parents, I know for sure she was not abused. OOP responds to a YTA comment where she shouldn't be invalidating Kate's beliefs. Reply, I don't agree. She wrecked her relationship with her in-laws herself. All she had to do was tell the truth, not invent some sob story on how we were abused during childhood. WTF, we were never abused, and I will not start saying I was just to cover up lies. If you are the type of person to lie with these things, that's your problem, but I am not and I will never be. I also don't invalidate her feelings, but if she is so sure she was abused, why she never clarifies what the said abuse was? If you ask her, she will give you an example that our parents were financially abusing her, meaning that they would not give her money for fun activities after she caused trouble. One of the examples from our childhood, my dad was called to go pick her up from school when she was 14 and she was suspended because during one of her classes she hid under her desk and started smoking a cigarette. As a normal parent, my dad punished her, but she sees punishment as abuse. Growing up, we were both expected to act like proper little ladies and learn to keep our spaces clean. We had someone come clean our house, but she was treating that lady as a slave. Meaning that she would intentionally trash her room, leave food to rot under her bed because the lady is paid to clean after us. My parents instructed the lady to not touch her room until she learns how to treat people. They told her that if she wants to live like a pig, it's her choice and no one should have to be humiliated and made to clean her mess. This was also abuse in her eyes. She is talking shit about my parents for what? Because she still does not believe in discipline. Do you think this is fair? Also, relationships don't get destroyed out of nowhere. Most of the times both parties are to blame when it happens. But Kate does not acknowledge her part, and that's on her. Was Kate with their dad full-time when she started to lie about her family? Reply, not right from the start. I was too young to remember these details, but as far as I was told, Dad and her mom had some nasty fights in court for fair custody, which eventually was granted. Later on, her mom wanted to travel and work, what we now know as digital nomad, so my sister moved permanently with us. I don't have memories of her not being there. She was always a constant in my life, hence why I never mention her as my half-sister. Update. So a lot has happened during these last days that generated even more drama. But before I get into that, I want to express a big thank you to those who commented and provided their feedback. After reading your comments, some things started making more sense, and honestly it brought a lot of perspective over things that I missed. Also, I got really mad reading every little comment from those who projected their own messy family life over my family, and I realized the magnitude her words and claims can really have. People called my parents abusive, invented things that never happened, and started projecting on what her life was. Some of them even claimed my mom ruined her family when my mom did not even met my father before his divorce, so it was a shock to me to see that strangers who somehow hear her stories may as well believe everything that she says without even doubting a word, or even add their own dramas into the picture to feed her fantasy. The major thing that happened was that one day her ex-fiancé reached out to me via Facebook. He apologized for how things went during the meeting with his parents and asked me if I am willing to have a chat with him because he wanted to check my version for things that Kate told him. I explained that I do not want to do this behind her back because I don't think it was fair, but if he can manage to convince her for the three of us to have a conversation, I am all in. I also told him there are a lot of things I need to confront her about and I would really feel more comfortable with a witness there. For 2 days I have heard nothing from them, and yesterday the big conversation happened. We scheduled a call around evening because everybody felt more comfortable like this. I will say from the start that I had nothing to do with convincing my sister to attend the talk. This was her decision after discussing it with her ex. Based on what I understood, she agreed to it hoping that in the end her fiancé would take her back. Unfortunately, I will admit, her ex and I kind of ganged up on her because both of us had many questions and she was the one to provide answers. Some answers that I got from her. Why did she lie about being abused by my parents? She claimed she did not specifically mention me as being abused, but admitted she did not correct her MIL when she understood something else. So she knew her MIL was living with the assumption our parents abused both of us but did not correct her in any way. When her fiancé asked her why, she said she felt by not correcting her, the MIL will stop considering her the problem, knowing that there were two of us in the same situation. She still claimed she was abused by my parents. When I asked her to provide some clear examples, she first said, "You know very well what happened," but me and her fiancé insisted. Some of the things she mentioned were, when she was a teenager she was oftentimes punished while I was not, which a clear indication I was loved more was, and this is abuse. Keeping in mind that when she was 14 to 15 I was only 9 to 10 and she was doing bad things like getting suspended for smoking during one of her classes, skipping school, etc., how was I supposed to be punished along her? She said I was also doing bad things but was never punished while she was. Her fiancé asked her verbatim, so you claim you were abused because you were punished for smoking in class while the bad things your younger sister did was maybe draw on walls. How do you assume would be fair to punish such different actions the same? She was not able to answer. She claimed she was financially abused by our parents because they would not give her money for fun activities, school trips, or events when she misbehaved. This was an example of punishments what she would often receive. Her fiancé asked her if our parents provided her with basic things like food, clothes, school supplies, and she said yes. He mentioned parents are not obligated to financially support trips and fun activities, so how was she financially abused? I asked her if she ever thinks about everything she did wrong towards our family. She claimed she knows she was not a saint but she was a child. I pointed out that at 17 you are not a child and you know better than to swear on your grandmother. Her fiancé had no idea about anything, so I explained some very nasty things she did and said. One time we were getting ready to go to our cousin's baptize and she wanted to wear a black t-shirt with a pentagram on it. Grandma asked her to change because her outfit was not appropriate for a baptize. Kate called her an old, outdated fucking hag. Her fiancé mentioned a story Kate told him and his parents with an incident where my parents abused her and confiscated her car, leaving her to walk to school during winter time. What she failed to mention was that my parents confiscated her car because of a DUI that she treated like it was not a big deal. And secondly, she never had to walk to school during winter because she could have gone by bus, but in reality even with no car she carpooled with one of her colleagues. This triggered her ex a lot because unfortunately he lost his grandfather because of a drunk driver. So even knowing this, Kate lied and turned her story into a soap opera just for her to look like a victim. I asked her ex if she ever said negative things about me and he said no. She only mentioned some instances where our parents treated us differently but always pointed out that they were doing it to turn us against each other. But based on the stories she told, she apparently never blamed me for anything or said anything negative about me. The entire ordeal lasted for around 3 hours and in the end I was exhausted. I told her that even if we were never very close as sisters, I have always loved her and considered her my sister, period. Not half, just my only sister. I told her I understand that our parents could have handled things differently and maybe she did not receive all the help she needed to adjust to a stepmother and a new family dynamic, but I am now judging her as an adult who should know not to lie and pose as a victim and who should assume responsibility for her part. As people pointed out in my last post, I advised her to get therapy and solve all her issues, but until that happens I cannot continue to have a relationship with her. She accused me of favoring our parents over her, but I told her I favor the truth over lies and she should be ashamed of her. So that's what happened between me and Kate. I have no idea what happened or what will happen with her ex, but based on how things turned out, I really doubt he will give her another chance. He made it clear that she cannot be trusted and pointed out something his mother told him: if she is capable to lie in such a way about her own parent, what will she be capable of saying about him? He said he is not doubting she can start saying he was also abusive since this seems to be her narrative. But that's her own problem, she made this bed for herself. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I remember your last post. While I did suspect correctly that her experience growing up would be different from yours, I knew from the get-go she was up to something nefarious. She could have been honest, but instead she lied and expected you to cover for her. The story about her DUI made me lose any ounce of sympathy I may have had for her situation. Since she is a liar and may lash out at you, I suggest you talk to your parents about what happened so that they are aware and not caught off guard when it eventually gets back to them. Reply, I told them everything that happened so they can be aware. What was very hard to digest was the way they reacted. They were not angry, not enraged, they were just like, yeah, we expected that much from her. Commenter 2, even if her abuse was true, which seems to be mostly in her own mind, her making up stories to make it worse is the biggest problem. And she is taking no accountability for that. If she thinks she has to make it worse for other people to have sympathy for her, then even she knows that it wasn't too bad. Oh, and I think she lost all credibility with anyone hearing this story after the way she twisted the punishment for her DUI. Even if she had to walk to school in the winter, it would have been deserved. Reply, exactly. And it was not her car. Our parents gave us each a car to use, but we were still in school then. So both cars were registered under our parents, they paid insurance, maintenance and everything that came with them. When they were given to us, the only rules for us were to respect the law, meaning to drive following the speed limits, sober and overall not endanger ourselves and the other people on the streets. And those rules were for both of us. My parents told me from the start, we give you this car so you can move around when you want need, but if you do anything stupid, we will not finance you to kill innocent people on the streets or yourself. So I understood that car was not mine and that it can be taken away from me if I did anything illegal. Commenter 2, I'm glad her ex got to hear the whole story. She's playing the victim for sympathy. She was never abused. She was disciplined for being a little SHT, I'd steer clear of her. She so easily lies, who knows what she'll say to you or about you. Commenter 3, sounds like sis carries a lot of resentment from childhood, doesn't mean her resentment is justified. Best advice telling her to get therapy and hopefully she loses her victim mentality. OOP on her sister getting therapy and having support. Reply, I am willing to support her only if she admits her mistakes and goes to therapy. By admitting her mistakes I mean also apologize for all the lies she said. I never saw the impact such claims can have until I posted here for the first time. Being used to her behavior I think I excused her ways as being dramatic but I understood how such claims can easily be believed by strangers which is not okay for the people accused. I also hope your niece gets some sense and improves. Stories number 7. A cry for help early in the morning. This is something that happened today, and I'm still shaken by it. Around 4 a.m., I saw 2 men brutally beating a girl on the street. I couldn't just stand there, so I screamed at them to stop and threatened to call the police. As soon as they turned away, I rushed to the girl and brought her inside my building. While I was locking the gate, the men started arguing with me, demanding that I let her go, but she was terrified, pleading with me not to send her back to them. So I didn't. Now, here's the situation, she is only 19, from a small rural village in Nepal. She was trafficked here by someone she trusted, a so-called friend, who promised her work and a better life in Delhi. She barely speaks Hindi, let alone English, and she had no idea she was being lured into hell. The men who were forcing her into prostitution are extremely dangerous, part of an underground trafficking ring. She's desperate to escape, to go back home, but she has nothing, no money, no belongings, nothing. And she knows that if she tries to go back to where she was held, they will kill her. I don't know what to do. I'm just 21, living alone, and while I want to help, I feel completely lost. I don't have the resources to get her to safety on my own. If anyone knows of organizations, shelters, or any way to help, whether with information, resources, or even a small financial contribution, it would mean the world. She has already been through so much, and right now, she just needs a way out. Please, if you can help in any way, reach out. Guys, I need urgent help. Comments. Comment 1, what you did was courageous and stupid but also very courageous. And yes, please contact women NGOs. Comment 2, just want to say that I'm proud of your bravery. Keep doing the good and honest work. You saved a life today. Hopefully she gets back home. Comment 3, you saved that girl but you endangered yourself. The 2 men know your location and know how you look. Be cautious now, lock doors and tell police ASAP. Girl, why the heck you asking here? It's the first thing people do in this situation. Comment 4, you're a good person. For now I suggest move to a friend's house or something. Comment 5, but you didn't answer about what you were doing at 4 and what area. Also, why did they let go of the girl first, then after you got the girl they started to ask for her? Don't take it personally, but a lot of posts here are karma farming only and they can go any extreme for that, and yours seems too far-fetched. Reply, hey, I live near the Chhatarpur metro. And I usually wake up early to start my day cause I love going on morning runs. I know this sounds very far-fetched but it's true. Overall comments feel, folks suggest contacting police helpline, 112, contacting Nepali embassy, numbers given, women NGOs, numbers given of those that specialize in this area, police trafficking unit, numbers given, government deps that specialize in women and children's safety and development, numbers given, suggest contacting lawyers. Update. First of all, I just want to say thank you, truly. The support and kindness I've received from all of you mean more than I can put into words. I'm just 21, and last night, I was overwhelmed, struggling to process the gravity of what had happened. But reading your messages, your advice, and your encouragement made me realize that I did the right thing. Now, the most important update, the girl is safe and on her way back home to Nepal. This morning, around 6 a.m., I talked to my partner about everything, and without hesitation, he stepped in to help financially so we could get her back to Bartapur. She couldn't take any of her belongings, so we gave her some cash to help her restart. Thankfully, the pimps haven't contacted her, and according to one of her friends, they've vacated their place, maybe out of fear that I'd report them. I haven't seen them around either, but I'm staying extremely cautious. For now, I'll be staying with my partner for a week or 2, just to be safe. We got her a bus ticket, and she left around 5:30 p.m. She was with me until then. And for those who were worried, she called me. She's okay. She's safe. I know I've put myself in a risky situation, but I couldn't just turn my back and pretend I didn't see what was happening. It's easy to ignore injustice, but that doesn't make it go away. Yes, these traffickers are Nepali and have ties to the local police, which makes things even more dangerous. I love my apartment, and I don't want to move, but if I ever feel truly unsafe, I won't hesitate to leave. I'm sorry for disappearing for a bit, handling everything took up all my time, and I just didn't check Reddit. But I want to say it again, thank you. Your words, your support, your belief in what I did, it means everything. I just have one request, be the change you want to see. I know it's not always easy to step in, and I understand that not everyone can. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where someone needs help, please don't be a bystander. Even a small action can change or even save a life. And lastly, to clarify, some people asked why I mentioned financial help. The truth is, I was completely unprepared for something this huge. I didn't know how I could possibly support her on my own. But I'm beyond grateful to have a partner who stepped up without hesitation. I feel blessed, truly. Some also mentioned karma farming. Honestly, I get it, this does sound like something out of a movie. But I promise you, this is my real life, and I'm still processing it myself. I rarely post on Reddit, but in my panic, I turned here because I didn't know what else to do. As for why the pimps left her alone long enough for me to get her inside, when I saw them beating her, I screamed at them from my balcony, threatening to call the police. That made them pause just long enough for me to act. When I was locking my gate, they came over and tried to get me to let her go, arguing with me while she was begging to stay. In that moment, I made my choice, I took her inside. That's all for now. If anything changes, I'll update you. But again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And please, if you ever witness injustice, take the first step, carefully, of course. You might just save a life. Comments. Comment 1, you did really great, miss. More people should be like you. Comment 2, contacting the family was not an option. Reply, we did, I talked to her sister as well and she'll be the one picking her up from Kathmandu bus stop to take her to their village in Burtapur. Comment 3, as everything looks already sorted I would request you to relocate, looks like you are living alone anyway so it should not be a big deal. Most of these guys are very well connected and things may take turn for worse. Reply, yeah planning on, thanks for your concern but I am okay. I am avoiding going out unnecessarily. Stories number 8. Aita my husband was nicer to BFF than her own husband. I'm writing this post because my best friends, Kate, husband, Bert, called my husband, Tim, an asshole. I have historically kept my opinion of Bert's behavior to a minimum on the grounds that good friends say their piece once and then love each other through shit relationships. But I'm asking internet strangers to be the judge. I am traveling for work. Kate is stuck at home, working, at 7 months pregnant on modified bed rest. Generally during the week I drop over once or twice to bring her family some dinner. Tim cooks extra portions once a week to share, cheer her up, read her oldest a couple of bedtime stories so that mom can go to bed early and get some sleep. Bert works an office job. Stressful, I'm sure, but during her pregnancy he's been working longer and longer hours, salaried, not overtime. She's been sad and a bit lonely. Yes, I've suggested counseling. With that for background, this evening she and I were texting, it was about 6-ish, and she got a craving for a taco place near my house and, importantly, near Bert's office. She says she asked him to grab her some on his way home. He says he's not stopping. He's got work at home and she should just DoorDash something close. This makes her extremely sad, she says irrationally sad, but you be the judge, because he used to surprise her with her favorite tacos and now he can't be bothered. As one does, I tell Tim. I'm 3 states away, so it was just part of our chat as I was getting back to the hotel and getting ready for a work dinner. I get back from dinner and Tim had gone and picked her up tacos, remembered the bag of things I'd collected for her and the kid that were in my car, and pulled a tuna casserole from the freezer. Bert hates tuna casserole. He dropped them off on the porch and just texted her that there were some things I wanted her to have. Then Bert gets home. Did he bring tacos, coloring books, or a good attitude? No, he did not. He called Tim to tell him that he was an asshole for showing him up. Other colorful language was also used, including some fairly sexist nonsense. He also texted me telling me to keep my husband away from his wife. Tim did respond rudely when Bert called. Kate says he told Bert he was a failure as a human, a man, a father and a husband. Apparently that caused Bert to scream expletives so loud their daughter started to cry. Not good. Tim then hung up on Bert, blocked him, and texted Kate that if she needed someone in an emergency she knew where to call, but he wasn't putting up with her shit husband any longer. It's a giant cluster and I have no idea what's going to happen. My husband feels bad things escalated so much, particularly since their daughter was crying. He feels like an asshole at the moment. Obviously Bert thinks he's an asshole. I think he's a sweet man. What do you guys think? Relevant comments. OOP on what Kate thought about Bert's attitude toward Tim. Reply, she's super pissed at Bert. It'll probably blow over, but at the moment she's extremely angry with him. She doesn't think Tim meant any harm, except that of course the tuna casserole was a bit petty. Could Kate stay with OOP and Tim? Reply, she's always welcome, of course, but I don't think she'd move their daughter out of the neighborhood. I think they will work it out. She does love him, very much. That said, he's at a hotel tonight and I don't think that's happened before. Commenter 1, no good deed goes unpunished. That being said, you guys are way too involved in their lives. You're cooking for them multiple times a week. Reply, yeah. She's on bed rest. We have a meal train. I do Wednesday and sometimes Fridays. Her sister does 2 days. Several of her friends trade off the other days. Is Kate able to stay with someone, family or friends? Reply, her daughter is at the sister's house tonight. She has a daughter about the same age so they do this all the time. We're going to rotate staying over until the night nurse can start, I think on Tuesday. They did have a part-time nanny, but that was the affair partner, so. Yeah. Her sister has been filling in since she was put on bed rest. Update 1. I apologize for screwing up the title last time. I was trying to be brief and wound up being wildly disappointing. My apologies. Hopefully this is more effective. This update is shared with Kate and Tim's permission. For reasons, Bert can go fuck himself. Bert did email Tim this morning to apologize. Bert said he had forgotten I was out of town and he didn't realize that Tim was dropping off the meal train food. It was a weird email for many reasons, but Tim responded politely if non-committal. Tim hasn't changed his view of Bert in part because of what happened between Bert and Kate this afternoon. Bert also texted me to apologize, but I didn't get his message until after I landed and by then everything else had happened. I've elected not to respond. Bert went home around noon after staying at a hotel last night. Kate's sister had taken their daughter to the park so Bert and Kate could talk it out. Short version is that Bert has been avoiding Kate because she's not happy during this pregnancy. I mentioned in a comment that Kate had been married previously and shortly after her first husband died she had complications in a pregnancy that forced her on bed rest. Unfortunately, her son didn't make it. Her current pregnancy is bringing up a lot of painful memories and she's scared she won't be able to make it to full term. So, yes. She's not as cheery as she was when she was pregnant with their daughter. It's a difficult time. Bert is frustrated and angry that she's not happy, so he's been staying late and ignoring her until she stops doing that. I know that sounds horrid, but I think they could have worked through those feelings. But as he was explaining how he felt, he said she should be glad her son wasn't there because otherwise she wouldn't have this life at all. Yeah. That still knocks the wind out of me, it's so cruel. She did talk to him about that statement, but the explanation doesn't get better. In any event, for her that was just the end. She told him she was done, they can work out joint custody, but the marriage was over. She called her sister and she and her husband encouraged Bert to leave. Currently, Kate's not angry or sad or panicked. She's just done. Personally, I'm surprised since they've weathered some fairly shitty things including infidelity, by him. But I guess that was the line. In any event, her D&D friends are over there for Saturday games night and they are eating waffles. She thought it was important for the internet to know that waffles are appropriate separation food. In terms of her well-being, which many kind souls were worried about, they have a prenup. The house is hers, his family property is his. I'm sure there will be a fight over custody, but she will be financially okay. In any event, she has family and friends who will help and support regardless of what happens. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, wow. This guy is just, wow. I have nothing nice to say. I'm glad she's getting out though. Who throws their wife's previous miscarriage in her face? Just, no. Reply, I don't know if this is worse, but it wasn't a miscarriage. She delivered. He was just too premature to survive. It was a horrible time. OOP and her husband standing up for Kate. Reply, pretty much. With an added BS of saying he wasn't one of those cucks who would raise another man's child like her friends' husbands, 2 of which are amazing stepdads, so fuck him sideways. I'm choosing not to look up the origin of that insult tonight as I'm already so mad and jet-lagged and not coherent. Kate's husband's insulting statement about her deceased son. Reply, the explanation was he would never have dated her if she had a kid and she wouldn't have changed careers. So basically she wouldn't have her husband, daughter, or her job if her son had lived. Plus, he insulted men who are stepfathers with some sexist nonsense. Commenter, 2, of course he was previously unfaithful. Glad she's kicked him to the curb. Sending good thoughts her way. Update 2, holiday update. I guess whether you think this is a happy update depends on whether assholes abandoning their kids is a net positive or not. Kate and Bert are still separated. It took her a few weeks, but she finally spoke to her attorney and asked them to start the paperwork. One problem has been locating him for service and scheduling parenting time so it wouldn't appear that she is withholding his child. The night he was escorted out he apparently went to a hotel, then told his boss he had to work remotely, where the fuck was that option, and then moved home to his mother. Kate has reached out to him multiple times to schedule parenting time and only found out last week that he wasn't in the state. She finally called his mom to see if she wanted to come and see her grandchild for Thanksgiving and learned that he was there the entire time. In any event, they finally made a parenting schedule and, at her attorney's suggestion, agreed he could have the first holiday since the separation. He was supposed to come down on Wednesday and pick up their daughter for a few days so she could spend time with his side of the family. So we planned a Friendsgiving to keep her spirits up since her little one would be away for the first time. Fun. Not fun, but it's what families do. Anyway, he didn't show. Thursday morning, still no Bert. Kate was worried since he was supposed to drive down so she called his mom again. Bert was fine, but didn't feel up to dealing with this. Yup. Heard it myself with my own 2 ears. Kiddo was thankfully still asleep, so she did have the joy of watching her mom have a complete and utterly meltdown. Kate didn't have the greatest childhood herself and knowing her POS husband was completely indifferent to his daughter was just too much. She was sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe and then started to have contractions. Then her sister and I started panicking. Had we been thinking clearly, we probably would have remembered that she had BH with both pregnancies and calmly assessed the situation after she wasn't so overwrought. Instead, I panic dialed her OB and we rushed her to the hospital. She's fine. Baby is fine. Kiddo has now more screen time and junk food in 2 days than her mother has let her have in her entire life, because I am not a great babysitter. Kate will be in the hospital for a few more days as her OB is concerned with her stress levels. Her sister's husband called Bert, but thus far he has not made any attempts to do something useful, like I don't know, take care of his own child, so I guess there won't be a fight over custody. A shitty update, but it's been a shitty weekend. If anyone knows how to cheer up a little girl who is missing her parents that doesn't involve McDonald's and Bluey, please let me know. If there were still Toys R Us, I'd probably be bankrupt. Update, thank you all for the suggestions, particularly you mamakas for shaking my brain loose. I had a sewing room full of supplies and hadn't even thought of crafts. We spent all day today designing and making doll clothes and matching scrunchies for her, her mom, her aunt, uncle, cousin, etc. She's happy and tired and I couldn't be more grateful for internet strangers. On the less good news, Kate is going to be in the hospital for the duration. She and the baby are fine, but due to some complications they want her to stay there until she delivers. Kiddo is staying with us until tomorrow. We live close to the hospital, but she'll be heading back to sister's place, which is close to her preschool, tomorrow night. Kate wants her to have as much normalcy as feasible. I'm still worried, but the doctors are great and seem to have it under control. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, do not think that. Eventually, Bert will wake the fuck up or will meet with a lawyer, who will tell him some very harsh truths. He'll realize that if he doesn't fight for and get custody, the child support he will have to pay will be higher than if he had 50-50 or primary custody. They may have a prenup, but prenups have nothing to do with child support, which is a right of the child, not a right of the parent. Tell your friend to keep a detailed log of all these interactions with her soon-to-be ex. Or do it for her, while she is emotionally incapacitated. Have her send an email to Bert and his mom, or a text message, anything written, that essentially goes, so we collaborated on a holiday custody schedule. I gave you first holiday since our separation with our daughter out of good faith and of wanting to show that we can co-parent peacefully. You agreed and then you let her down at the very last minute because you didn't feel up to dealing with this. She has to do the same for all the interactions that are verbal so she can have a paper trail to show the judge. Encourage her to keep on reaching out to Bert, in the name of collaborative co-parenting, so he can never win the argument of, she withholds the children from me, Your Honor. All in writing, or followed by writing summarizing the content of the conversation if it happens verbally. If she can't do that because of her health condition and her emotional state, she can have someone else do all of that for her while she's CC'd on the emails. I might be dealing with the last weeks of pregnancy and separation, and it's hard, but I'm still doing all that I can as a mother to make sure it does not impact our children negatively and make sure the transition process is smooth and co-parenting is possible, is the message you want to be able to display to a judge if it comes to that. Do not rile Bert up and make sure that your friend does not either. But when he acts unhinged, despondent or irresponsible, bring it up in writing. Always talk about Bert in good terms, at least in front of the daughter, so he can't have the parental alienation defense. Have your friend squeaky clean so there is nothing he can grab onto for custody. No, I acted terribly but so did she, Your Honor. It will be all, so the plaintiff was being a dismissive turned aggressive asshat the entire time while the defendant was being as collaborative and in good faith as could be. Primary custody to the defendant. Reply, this was the exact advice her attorney gave us yesterday. Thank you. Commenter 2, my money is on Bert being happy as a clam that he can now be with his side piece without burden. That'll be short-lived and he's going to try and win her back as soon as he sees how much he has to pay for child support. Document all of the attempts to give him access and the failures on his part, it will help her custody battle, and ultimately cause him to have to pay more support. Commenter 3, I'm so sorry to hear this update. Not surprised, but sorry. For the little girl, how willing are you to do crafts? Hit up the dollar store for several disposable tablecloths. Put one on the floor and one on whatever surface you let her paint on. When done, fold them inward and take to the garbage. Cleanup is 10x easier this way. You could get a child's beating kit to make mommy a Christmas present. Bracelets, necklaces, etc. If you tend toward more DIY, look up a recipe for salt dough and buy some washable paints. Put her hair up, sacrifice an old t-shirt, preferably one of her father's, and let it be a painting dress. Decorating for Christmas can be as simple as sheets of white paper and a pair of scissors. Make snowflakes. If you have access to a printer, there are lots of templates to cut more elaborate shapes like Star Wars, probably not her jam, or cartoon characters. Michaels also usually sells kits to make little foam ornaments or decorations. Make them extra funny with a small package of googly eyes. One word of caution, stay away from glitter. You will shine for the next year. If something needs to be shiny, get glitter glue. I hope this helps. Reply, you are a gem. I've been so thrown I didn't even think of arts and crafts. Thank you. Baby update. My husband was nicer to BFF than her own husband. It's a boy. I don't know if anyone still cares, but Kate safely delivered a perfectly healthy little boy on Thursday and is now back home. Her sister's was by her side and it all went fairly quickly after she was induced. Bert is still MIA. Last we heard he was in Alaska with his brother. Kate's lawyer has been managing communications to keep the evidence trail as pristine as possible. He has been served, but of course these things take time. The little one asks about her dad every single day and it breaks my heart, but I guess there's no help for that. We are following the therapist's advice, and legal advice, on that subject. I think it will get easier now her mom is finally home. On the home front, Kate is thrilled to be out of the hospital. We have all huddled up for a plan to help her over the next few months while she recovers. I'm on duty today, but everyone is currently napping so it's quiet and peaceful. She asked for tacos so Tim is making a taco run for lunch in an hour or so. I probably won't update again, but I did want folks to know she and her son made it through with flying colors. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I know it's gonna take years decades but in my mind there will be a day where Kate is very happy that Tim decided to deliver tacos and she got rid of this sorry excuse of a man. All the best OP. Would love to get an update but I understand if that's the end. Reply, TBH, I think that's why she asked for tacos. Tim has been feeling shitty for how everything went down and how his bluntness, in his mind, contributed to Kate's complications and the kiddo's distress. Seeing Kate happy and relaxed, surrounded by her family, and everyone devouring tacos definitely cheered him up. It certainly cheered me up. Commenter 2, I'm glad you're okay. Now, if possible, I have a question for you, do Bert's parents approve of what he's doing? Please keep us posted until your friend gets his revenge on this pest. Reply, I don't know what Bert's mom thinks. I called her to let her know when Kate was scheduled to be induced and to invite her to Christmas at Kate's request. She never responded. Bert's father passed away a few years ago, which precipitated some of Bert's worst behaviors. I've only met his brother a handful of times, but given how he treats his wife, with tremendous devotion, I was surprised to hear Bert was there. I would have expected his brother to chew his ass out and send him home. But who knows what Bert is telling his family about the separation. It's very odd. I'm extremely curious, but sticking strictly to the path the attorney has laid out for all communication. Kate might get some answers when the divorce response is filed, but his attorney has gotten an extension so that won't be for a few months. Commenter 3, OP, it's just a suggestion of mine, but since there's a possibility that the brother is being deceived, would it be more receptive to send an anonymous message telling him what's really going on? It's just a suggestion, because Bert really is an asshole and needs to suffer a little. Reply, Kate's sister and I both thought the same thing, but her attorney said absolutely not. We will just have to wait for it all to come out in the wash. Commenter 4, I am so glad that you all are doing as well as can be. Wishing some peace and love in the new year. Update, my husband was nicer to BFF than her own husband. Sad update. Bert came back. Kate and Bert reconciled. For the health of her family, she is stepping away from me and her sister and several other friends. I was hoping it was just temporary, but it's been a month since we spoke to her. Not much more to say really. I hope if she needs support she knows she can call with no judgment. Top comments. Commenter 1, not the update I was hoping for. Her self-esteem must really be in the shitter. But at least it's not your problem anymore. Commenter 2, oof. Translation, she's been isolated from her support network. Commenter 3, it's sad, really. You were hoping for some closure, that's understandable. Sometimes, you put a lot of faith into something, reconciliation, healing, and it doesn't quite pan out the way you envisioned. It's tough, and it's okay to feel that way. You deserve support, absolutely. And, maybe it means letting go, and that's okay too. Big. You're not alone, I think. Stories number 9. I excluded my dad's partner from any and all plans for my child's birth. Aita. Am I 34M right to tell family that my relationship with Stepmother 70F is over for good? Hi folks. I'm on mobile, from the UK, I'm 34M bride-to-be is 33F daughter is 7, stepmother is 70F dad is 80M. I'm about to get married in a few weeks, up until recently we had decided not to invite my dad's partner, stepmother, if you will, as we have had some major issues with her since my daughter was born 7 years ago. Quick top 5 highlight of what she's done over the years. For context, my bio mom died when I was 12 and as Mar, editor's note, could be dad met her when I was 13. Took dad on holiday to Malta and told him her adult son was going to look after me as I was at school. He came over once, gave me £20 to last 2 weeks and that was it, and she knew what he was planning and lied to dad. She deliberately went to the wrong hospital to pick up me, daughter and bride-to-be after she gave birth to daughter. It was late December, so she could instead go to her adult sons and drink. Claimed I gave her the wrong hospital. Insulted the entire family at my nan's funeral twice. Sold my brand new motorbike, that was in store at her garage for a few weeks while I got my license and I was paying to store it. I got it back by calling to person she sold it to and advise I am the owner and she couldn't sell it. Police got involved. Demanded my inheritance from late mother. I told her to swivel. So on to wedding, we decided to only invite dad and not her, as honestly no one likes her except dad, and we reckoned she would do something to make it about her. However, me and bride-to-be we talking and saying doing this is effectively telling her to never speak to us again, which could be awkward in future and detrimental. Dad isn't fussed, we aren't inviting her and we have an agreement between me and him to not involve her and I won't force my opinions on him about her. I honestly think he fears being lonely, so during a recent trip to dad's to discuss some items we broached with him, we were thinking of inviting stepmother and she overheard us. To which she replied, "Why would I go to your poxy wedding? It won't compare to my youngest daughter's, so I won't bother." Me and bride-to-be both snapped back, "Well at you are most certainly not welcome and to make it clear you're banned." Since she has messaged to say she is sorry and was angry, but we've made it clear to her that was the last straw for us. I don't care if she gets ill or homeless, we want nothing to do with her ever again. So on to the question, I'm right in telling my brother and sister and family what happened and how we will never speak to her if at all possible and the relationship is completely over for good? Commenter, too right, I'd be telling my siblings. Do they have the same experience with her as you? She sounds evil. I hope your father has a ironclad will. That's if any of you are in it. Reply, my sister is from dad's first marriage and is 18 years older than me, so didn't live with her. Brother doesn't speak to her but mainly due to distance, he lives 2 hours away. Hi all, long-timer lurker. So bit of a backstory, my mother died years ago, 20 years plus, and my dad has had his partner for 15 years or more. I have a wife and child and one on the way. Also I'll detail the pertinent reason why I have excluded her, but this is one of many stunts she pulled. Also we are UK based. On to the situation, when my wife were having our first child we planned for my dad's partner to pick us up from hospital after the birth, which turned out to be late, baby wasn't planning on coming out. So it's mid-December, we exit the maternity ward and I ring dad's partner to find out where she was and she states she is in the main corridor of the hospital and can't see us. We were on the main corridor. After a couple of minutes of saying, "You're not here," we can see the length of it, and it being 10 p.m. we realize she went to the entirely wrong hospital 30 miles away. Her response was to say, "Oh well, I'm sorry," and to hang up and refuse to answer her phone, leaving myself, my wife and 4-day-old daughter in a hospital with no lift home in the middle of winter. Luckily my dad came to rescue and picked us up. The other incident was her callous response to my wife's mid-term miscarriage, which was, "There is a reason it died, move on." To say the least, we do not want her around us, not has she been for years now, but she knows my wife is pregnant and is asking to have a role in the birth. I told my dad, there isn't a cat's chance in hell I will let that woman near our family or be involved. She cannot be trusted, nor is she wanted near us. Bear in mind my dad is a total wet lettuce who tries to keep the peace. So he kind of plays piggy in the middle to try and smooth things over. Well, after she found out, it's been a social media blitz of complaining about being excluded, including ruining his name reveal as well by accident, and well as getting her kids to ask. So last night I made a public FB and IG post explaining exactly why she is excluded and making it perfectly clear she isn't welcome in our lives. Some friends commented I was a bit harsh. My wife thinks it's really sweet I'm going up to bat for us like this, and my dad is kinda upset I didn't explain how I felt. So Reddit, I'm feeling a tad bit regretful as I'm not normally this hot-headed. Did I go too far? Am I the holy edit? I've seen this a few times mentioned. So my dad is very old, mid-80s, and doesn't use social media and is of a generation that just wants a quiet life now. I'm also fairly low contact with him generally anyway, but for not real reason he just prefers it that way. Also, I'm asking as I suffer from anxiety and tend to overthink my actions after events like this, and I just wanted some others' opinions on it all outside of the people involved. Finally, the reveal of the name was her adding our baby's name to her post after hearing my dad mention it in a call with me. Wife and I haven't publicly announced it at the point she posted it. Also, thank you for your responses, I do appreciate it. Some of comments. Commenter, NT8, you didn't take it public. Your dad's partner did. If they didn't wish to have you respond with your reasons publicly, then they shouldn't have complained publicly. The partner sounds like a person who only wants to be there so they can later tell others. Protect your family and the intimate memory of welcoming a child. Reply, thank you for your response, it's nice to know I did the right thing. Commenter, Tom, my whole thing is that she brought this to social media to shame you, and you just responded to it with your side of her story as well as your reasoning. So she can't get mad that you explained yourself on a public forum because she started the conversation publicly. Also, your dad has not defended you at all. That's insane. I would be angry at him too. I am sorry that your mom wasn't there to pick you up, and may her soul be in peace. Reply, my dad isn't on social media and doesn't really get it. He knows what it is and has seen the posts and people showed him. To be honest, I'm low contact with him anyway as he keeps trying to play peacemaker when we made our position clear. Commenter, you did explain how you felt though, how could your dad be upset? Reply, he tries to keep the peace. She has never once apologized for the shit she's pulled and he wants us to put it to bed, and my stance has been for 2 years at least she needs to give me a heartfelt and sincere apology before any reconciliation takes place. And she doesn't think she has ever done anything wrong. Commenter, if it's not a name you and your wife are fully invested in, it's not too late to pivot on the name. You guys still have 2 months to make that final decision. Reply, we've fallen in love with it. And we talk about them using that name and our daughter uses it too. It just feels right. OOP clarifies. Please note I said this, wrong hospital, is just one example of stuff she pulled over the years, and it wasn't an accident, at least what I've heard from other it wasn't. But I take that with a pinch of salt. OOP posting, just to address the social media side. I was unaware of the posts until I was tagged in one. There were over a dozen on both FB and IG tagging various people. My singular post was short and to the point, it was 5 lines total, with the ending being, I'm not discussing this further with you online, leave us alone. Piggy in the middle. It's a saying, where someone is passing messages between two parties aren't speaking. So they are, playing piggy in the middle. Update post. Hi everyone. I recently shared my post from Aita to here, which was originally posted 45 days ago, and well, we have updates to share. But first, to clarify a couple of points people mentioned and I wanted to clear up. How did dad's partner, called Karen for ease of use, find out his name? Well, during a call to my dad we got chatting about what names we were thinking. I mentioned however we came up with what we thought it would be, let's say Thomas Gordon, not the actual name. Well, unknown to me as dad hadn't mentioned Karen was in the same room and listening to his call, and because I'm essentially no contact with her for her many other transgressions. He didn't think to tell me. I did tell him not to tell anyone. What role was she meant to have with child number 1 and what role did she want this time? So she was meant to be picking up myself, wife and child 1 at hospital and taking us home. Like I said in the first post, she went to the wrong hospital, I think on purpose, then ghosted us and left us at the hospital at 10 p.m. on December 22nd that year. This time round she wanted to do the same but also take us to hospital and visit each day of the week after baby 2 was born to help out. Which we of course wanted nothing to do with. Anyway, on to the update. Baby 2 arrived early. Not too early but a surprise nonetheless. Luckily it all happened so fast that we didn't have time to tell anyone other than a pair of close friends to get us to the hospital and pick our first child up from school. Baby 2 is here safe and sound. We, wife and I, shared the news on FB set to friend of friend privacy about the birth as we wanted those who knew us and cared to know. Once again I found out via being tagged on social media that Karen is raging that we didn't involve her at all. I'm talking about 20 posts over 3 days about it. Strangely, she didn't actually attempt to come to the hospital, merely rage online for likes, I suppose. I've chosen to not respond or engage with her, as frankly I have better things to do with my time. Plus, I'm not going to stress myself out about it or risk my mental health. Sadly, Dad is also now essentially NC with me. Since his grandchild's birth, he called once to see how we are, and that's it. Every other member of the family and a number of friends have all been over to see, bring gifts and whatnot, with our permission, except him. He hasn't asked if he can, and I'm tired to asking him to do things. So I've decided to just drop to rope and not bother unless he does. For those interested, my mum is long since deceased. It's fine, don't worry, I've come to terms with that. My wife's side of the family have been amazing, and so have our friends. So that's it really. Baby 2 arrived early, Karen threw a fit and was ignored. My dad made himself no contact, and our friends and remaining family stepped up to the plate. I don't suppose there will be any further update unless Karen pulls anything stupid, but even then she isn't even my dad's wife, so she has zero rights. Please everyone take care, as I've found out with this journey people will surprise you and amaze you. And sadly disappoint you. So focus of the good people. One of comments. Commenter, on another matter, your dad, who is 80 years old, you described as wet lettuce, but based on your stepmom's toxic personality, is it possible he didn't voluntarily go NC, and there could be emotional or verbal abuse? When was the last time you were able to see and speak to your father alone? Is it possible he needs help? Reply, he comes round once every other month or so. Funny thing is they don't live together full time, he has his own place. He knows what he is doing. Stories number 10. I, 35M, banning my SAL, 29F, from my house after she let my parrot out of his cage. I, 35M, have an African grey parrot named Oscar that I've had for 11 years. He's incredibly smart and means the world to me. I've spent thousands of hours training him, and while he's fully flighted, he only flies free in my house when I'm supervising. My wife's sister, 29F, who I'll call Jen, has always been a bit of a boundary pusher. She thinks she knows better than everyone else about everything. Last weekend, we hosted a small family dinner. Before everyone arrived, I made sure Oscar was secure in his cage because he gets anxious around new people. I explicitly told everyone, especially Jen, who had made comments before about how sad it was to keep birds caged, not to open his cage. During dinner, Jen excused herself to use the bathroom. About 5 minutes later, we heard a commotion from the living room. I rushed in to find Oscar flying around panicking, and Jen trying to help by chasing him with a dish towel, literally the worst thing you could do to a scared parrot. Oscar was so terrified he flew straight into a window and fell to the floor. I nearly had a heart attack. I carefully picked him up and checked him over while Jen stood there saying, I just wanted him to have some freedom, and he's fine, stop overreacting. Thankfully, Oscar wasn't seriously hurt, just stunned, but he could have died. Do you know how many birds break their necks flying into windows? An African greys can live 50+ years. This is a lifelong companion, not some goldfish. I completely lost it. I told Jen to get out of my house and that she wasn't welcome back until she could respect our rules. My wife backed me up in the moment, but later said maybe I overreacted and should forgive her sister since she meant well. I found my wife's sister using this site to fake images of parrots to show how cruel they are, and it really made me upset. Oscar has been displaying stress behaviors all week, plucking feathers and being unusually quiet. I'm standing firm on the ban, but my wife is now asking me to reconsider for the sake of family harmony. This might affect my marriage as well because Jen is after all my wife's sister. What should I do? Stories number 11. Aita for suing my neighbor after her kid destroyed my rare plant garden, claiming he was just playing with a cat. Throwaway. TLDR, I have a rare plant garden that's also a profitable side business. Neighbor's kid climbed my locked fence to play with a cat and ended up destroying thousands of dollars worth of exotic plants. I'm suing the mom for damages, but she says I'm overreacting because he's just a kid. Okay, so I, 29F, have what some people might call an obsession, but I prefer passion project. Over the last 6 years, I've cultivated a garden of rare and exotic flowers in my backyard. We're not talking tulips and daisies, I mean orchids that bloom once every 3 years, cuttings I've flown across the country to pick up in person, and carnivorous plants that need daily misting and controlled humidity. The garden also doubles as a small but lucrative side business, enough to match my husband's, 32M, full-time income in the last few months. Our backyard is fenced, locked, and posted with multiple, private property, and no trespassing signs. Enter my neighbor, Lisa, fake names, and her son, Noah, 6M. We've had minor issues with Noah before. He's trampled flowers in my front garden before, near the house, not the pavement, but Lisa just laughs it off. I kindly explained to her that while I understood kids don't always know better, these plants can take years to grow. She gave me a half-hearted apology and promised to keep a better eye on him. Last weekend, my husband and I went out for a few hours to celebrate our anniversary. We came home to what looked like a miniature tornado had hit the corner of my backyard garden. Several of my rare orchids had been snapped at the stem. 2 pots were shattered. I stood there and cried. Not just because of the damage, but because it felt violating. Like someone had trampled a piece of my soul. Our house camera security footage showed Noah climbing the locked gate with a backpack on, chasing what looked like our neighbor's cat. He stomped through the beds like it was a jungle gym. At some point the cat disappeared, but he stayed and caused more damage before wandering out again. When I confronted Lisa, she was weirdly casual about it. Her actual words were, "He said he was just playing with the cat." I lost it. I told her this wasn't a playground, and she was going to be hearing from my lawyer. Now I'm suing for damages, $8,900, which includes the loss of current plant inventory, repair costs to the irrigation system, he stepped on one of the buried hoses, and loss of business income for the next month while I try to salvage what I can. Lisa is furious. She's gone full drama mode to our neighborhood group chats, calling me vindictive and money hungry. She claims that boys will be boys, and I should have had a better lock, or maybe not put such expensive things outside if they're so fragile. A few neighbors are siding with her, saying suing over some flowers is extreme, but I don't see it that way. This isn't just some hobby. It's part of my livelihood. It's years of hard work, patience, and honestly, love. Some friends are telling me I should have just accepted her apology and moved on since he's just a kid. This was made the whole situation more hurtful than it already was. Stories number 12. I accidentally swallowed a live German cockroach in my last drink from a can of alcoholic beverage. Title: I accidentally swallowed a live German cockroach in my last drink from a can of alcoholic beverage. I can't stop imagining it trying to crawl back out of my throat. Approximately how long will it live inside of me? Post. I've been drinking many fluids since. But I feel like maybe it's gripping on right at the lower end of my esophagus and crawling back up between downpours. Is this plausible? Sum of comments. Commenter: with the way our eating tube and stomach work in our body, it will not come back up. But the thought must be haunting your mind. It's okay. Reply: can you elaborate please? I'd like to think that I'm imagining what I feel. And I probably am. But wow, do I feel a squirmy lump in my throat for the past half hour. Commenter: you could try drowning one and see how long it takes. I would guess between 1 and 5 minutes. Stomach acid would speed up the process. Reply: you can waterboard the roaches in my apartment for a solid minute and they'll just as soon get up and crawl into the microwave. Which also? They're in the microwave. And when you use the microwave, they don't die. Which I guess is part of why I'm like, how long do I have to deal with a near indestructible being in my guts? Another non-stupid questions question: why doesn't the microwave kill the roaches when they're running around inside it? Commenter: how do you know it was a German cockroach? Reply: I don't know 100%, but my apartment building is infested with them. I left my can unattended for a minute in a spot where I shouldn't have. They frequent, and am assuming by the size and texture of the solid lump I swallowed it was one of them. Commenter: what if you made yourself purge? You could be 100% sure it was no longer in your body. I probably would have involuntarily. But would that stop that feeling in your throat? Reply: the feeling has mostly gone away, and in the first few moments after I swallowed it I thought about purging, but I really hate vomiting and would almost rather live with a live roach in my throat than throw up. Top comments. Commenter 1: no, it went into your stomach and got dissolved by stomach acid. Commenter 2: unless it's hanging onto the top part of your stomach or still in the esophagus. Quick op, do a handstand. Commenter 3: now you have to eat a spider to stop it wriggling and wiggling and tickling inside you. Seriously, stomach acid has pH of about 2. It'll be dead in seconds. Commenter 4: that's absurd. Next you'll suggest they eat a bird to catch the spider. Update 1: I think it's dead now. The wriggling lump in my throat was probably psychosomatic and your reassurances killed it. Thank you. I wasn't sure how long I'd be able to live with that feeling before performing a self-esophagectomy. Update 2: same post, within 2 hours of the OG post. No, I still feel like there's a live roach determined to crawl back out of my mouth. Really awful. I'm Roach Man now. Sum of comments. Commenter: they removed a live cockroach from a guy's intestines in India. Google it. Reply: wow, that's awful. 3 centimeters. Big cockroach. The ones in my apartment max out at about 1 centimeter. But yeah. I basically imagined, and although I edited to say I feel it died, it's returned and I can feel it wriggling still. I imagine this one will live inside me a while and give me all the parasites and plagues it can. Commenter: tequila. Tequila is the only answer. Reply: maybe the mezcal worm can scare it away through my system. Commenter, a roach. Yeah, you're cooked, man. LMAO. Those things can survive the fallout from a nuclear world war, your intestines are completely survivable for them. You're gonna be shitting that thing alive in a couple of days. Reply, see, honestly, this is the comment I thought I'd get. Someone else mentioned a live roach being found in a guy's intestine. All I ever learned about roaches was they'll be one of the last animals standing after global catastrophe because they've got a second brain in their butt or something. And the roach is here. Like, I've tried drowning them. I got boric acid powder and put it in their main hangs and they built tiny little roach snowmen and went sledding in it and made little roach snow angels. Then they got up and laughed at me while diving poison covered into my drink. I hate them. They ride the microwave tray like a merry-go-round. I hate them. It's crawling back up, I swear. He has a wife and kids and he will see them again. Commenter, why do you think diluting your stomach acid is a good thing? They can survive being submerged for 15 minutes in cool water. Warm stomach acid would be the quickest way to kill it. Reply, to be fair, I was drinking more booze hoping to wash it down into the acid to either kill it that way or at least get it drunk enough it doesn't know which way is up. Commenter, what if the cockroach contained Ascaris lumbricoides and OP is slowly filling with worms? The journey of Ascaris lumbricoides begins when a person ingests the fertilized eggs from contaminated food or water. Inside the intestines, the eggs hatch, releasing larvae that burrow into the walls of the small intestine. From there, the larvae enter the bloodstream, traveling through the circulatory system toward the lungs. In the lungs, the larvae move through the small blood vessels into the alveoli, tiny air sacs, and then travel upward through the respiratory system. This migration causes irritation and symptoms like coughing, wheezing, and sometimes even pneumonia. As the larvae move up the windpipe, trachea, they are eventually swallowed again. The larvae then make their way back to the intestines, where they mature into adult worms. The female worms produce eggs, which are then passed in the host's feces into the environment. These eggs can survive for long periods in the soil, and when another host ingests the eggs, the cycle begins anew. Reply, well, see, this is the kind of comment I expected. I'm the worm-filled roach man now. It was fate. OOP comments again. Dang, okay. I googled that parasite, then read a study about cockroaches as a mechanical vector for human pathogens. So really, I guess we'll see what happens. I keep them off my food generally and am as clean as can be. I know they're dirty because they crawl out of and back into every nasty little crevice in my home. God, I hate them. Swallowing one like this was one of my worst nightmares because I'd already imagined what they might carry. And now I know exactly what they carry. I'll update you all if I get violently ill. I still can't stop burping little gags thinking it's gonna wash up in my mouth. Awful horrendous turn of events tonight. Commenter, don't worry, it's almost certainly dead, and the chances of its eggs hatching in your intestines are practically zero. Commenter, oh you son of a. Commenter, I'm being reassuring. Reply, you reassured my worst fears and the hosts of hell, thank you. Top comment. Commenter 1, eat a piece of peanut butter bread. The stickiness of the peanut butter and the thickness of the bread will automatically leave no room for psychosomatic cockroaches to attempt to escape. Commenter 2, real bread can't push imaginary roach. Eat imaginary bread to push down imaginary roach. Update 3, I'm pretty sure it's actually no longer trying to climb back up my esophagus now. From what I've learned in these comments and outside reading, the roach is either completely dead or still struggling for life in my antacid-affected gut. It may very well survive inside me for months. Chances are even higher that it transmits a disease or parasite to me. I hate roaches. OOP's comment. Commenter, I accidentally chewed a stink bug once. During a power outage, I made some hot chocolate on a little portable stove. I threw in some marshmallows. The light was very dim. I thought at first that the marshmallows were stale. Then I realized, far too slowly, there was a foreign object in my mouth and it didn't taste good. Lesson learned, don't eat food you can't see. Reply, I've been like a naturalist kind of guy since I was a little kid. Started out learning wild edible plants and ate them a lot. Then when I was a little weird hippie forest teen I started learning edible insects. So I ate a stink bug on purpose the first time. But then later, like picking beans, you'll eat them sometimes and they're not a good surprise flavor. They're used as a spice in some places. Generally I don't mind eating bugs by choice, but I would never willingly eat one of the nasty drain roaches infesting my home. Update. Next day update, I'm alive. My throat feels normal. I haven't exploded in a colony of baby roaches. For those asking how I know it's a roach and how I knew it was alive, there are tons of roaches in my place unfortunately, and no other bugs. This can hadn't been out of my sight for more than a minute. I've poured roaches out of cans before that had been left out overnight and they ran off like they had somewhere to be. So, something climbed in my can in the minute my back was turned. It was probably a roach. And it very likely wasn't dead yet. Oh, and German roaches are a species of cockroach, Blatella germanica. So anyway, I feel okay but will still probably die from roach-transmitted lung worms. Now I'm gonna go crawl into a drain pipe somewhere. Skittering noises. Some of OOP's comments regarding how to get rid of the roaches. Clarification to a comment. 100% not a troll. I've tried various roach bait plus poison combos but I'll try what you recommend. The maintenance guy said that the neighbor below me has them way worse and that's why they're in my place. They come up through the pipes. It really sucks, but I'll try that stuff. Hopefully it works. Another idea about traps. Hey, I appreciate this. I hadn't thought of glue traps actually, but hopefully that would be effective where they're the worst in the kitchen. I have a good relationship with the maintenance guy and what he said is the landlord won't pay for regular treatment. So it's basically just a spray every now and then to knock them down. All it does is replace the big ones with the presence of more babies. So yeah, I'll try some glue traps. Thanks. One more from OOP. I really don't live in filth. I keep my place generally clean. But my downstairs neighbors don't as much. The maintenance guy comes to spray and when he does the roaches disappear for about 6 hours, and then babies start crawling out of the pipes. He's told me that they're the source of the roaches. And he thinks the place should be tented by a professional company but the landlord won't pay for that. I'm gonna try the Advian stuff several commenters recommended and hope for the best because that's really all I can do. OOP checked in a couple of days ago, not enough for a full update. Commenter, can we get a final update? Reply, still okay. OOP on April 11th. Honestly, posting this on Reddit was a mistake because I probably would have forgotten about it by now. But even though I no longer imagine it clinging and crawling, I keep thinking about the lung parasite these roaches can carry. Stories number 13. Aita for defending myself from my BF's little sister. It was the day after my BF, 24M, proposed to me. I, 22F, had my BF meet my parents already, so we both planned to meet his family the next day after the proposal. At about 6 p.m. we went to his family's house. It was a big deal for me to give a good impression so I wanted to impress them and be positive. His parents were great and his relatives were really funny. We had dinner and his dad and mom were very chatty, and I'm not really a talkative person so it made things a lot easier. I knew he had a little sister so I unfortunately asked to see her since she wasn't at the table. My BF's mom quickly escorted her out of her room as she was busy talking with her friend's OTP. I then said hi to her and asked her name. She looked at me weirdly but I tried to ignore it, but then she told me, "Your hair looks like a bird's nest," in front of the family. For context, I have curly wavy hair that gets dry and frizzy fast. It made her dad laugh so I got a bit uncomfortable but I laughed it off. She told me that my boyfriend's ex-girlfriend was better looking and said she doesn't want me here. By the way, she's about 15 years old and it quite hurt my feelings, but still I kept a smile and asked her if she ate dinner yet. Of course, she told me, "Yeah, have you?" Because I can tell with your fat ass. At that point it was my breaking point, because basically his relatives were chuckling and he wasn't doing anything or saying anything. I told her that she was a disrespectful asshole who had no shame and stormed out of the house out of anger. I immediately regretted after when I heard shouting in the house and I heard her screaming and possibly crying. I then see my boyfriend walking towards me and then screaming on why I said that to his little sister. I yelled back and said his little sister is an insecure little bitch and left and called a cab. I'm staying at a hotel right now and I've gotten plenty of missed calls from him, some of his friends and my own friends. Honestly, I'm still pissed at him but I do feel bad for acting immature especially since his little sister is only 15 and I'm 22. Should I have handled the situation better? Update. Hi, I'm so sorry for the lack of information I gave in the following post. Yes, me and my now ex didn't meet each other's families yet because we met and lived at the time in a different state than our families. First, I wanted to say thank you all for the advice given and I've took those into account. Last night I just decided to sleep it off and I'd figure out what to do in the morning. In the morning I read all of his chats. They said, "Apologize to her, she's only 15, and one that really stuck out to me. I just proposed and you do this." At that point, I wanted to reply and go all out. I decided to just make a paragraph and dump his ass. Oh, by the way, even his sister was in my message requests. Her messages was full of swearing and shit, and I initially thought to send it to her parents but reading your comments, and seeing them not control their child, I don't think they would care. Thank you guys. I'm currently trying to fly back home and I've also blocked him and his sister. Stories number 14. Aita for not letting my brother bring his dog to stay with me while he goes on vacation. I, 28F, just moved into a new apartment that finally allows pets, but they have some pretty strict rules. Only one animal per unit, has to be under 50 pounds, and no aggressive breeds. I've been wanting a cat for a while, and a couple weeks ago I adopted the sweetest little rescue. My older brother, 31M, is going on a 10-day trip with his girlfriend and asked if I could watch his dog, Tank. The issue is, Tank is a 90-pound pit lab mix who's super high energy and honestly kind of a handful. He's knocked over my niece, chewed up furniture, and he really doesn't like cats. I told him I couldn't do it. First, my lease won't allow a dog that size, and second, I just brought a new cat home and I'm not about to stress her out or risk anything happening. He said I was being uptight and that no one checks that stuff anyway. He even offered to drop off his crate and food like that made it all fine. When I stuck to my no, he got annoyed and said I was choosing a cat over family. Now our parents are on his side too, saying it's just for a few days and I should help him out. I get that it's inconvenient, but I really don't feel comfortable risking my lease or my cat's safety. Aita for saying no. Stories number 15. Aita for telling my mom and her siblings to take care of their mother because it's not my job. 32F and I'm a working mom with 4 kids. My husband is a trucker and due to this, he isn't home often and nearly everything is on my shoulders. I'm in no way resentful of my husband, just to clarify. This is about my grandmother, not him. But where he isn't home and I'm doing quite literally everything, cleaning, cooking, runs to the laundromat, grocery shopping, 3 kids' sports events, games and practices, doctor's appointments, etc. 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 I have zero extra time outside of an occasional few hours on Sundays when my husband is home. Now, important background, I went no contact with my grandmother for almost a year back 3 years ago, before I had my youngest, who is now 1.5, because she decided to uproot her life where she lived in a care facility to move 2 houses down from me and just assumed that I would take on the responsibility of her and her shit. She is in a wheelchair and can do nothing on her own outside of toileting herself and bathing herself. She is fully reliant on people outside of this. So every day I was getting 5+ calls a day to go to the grocery store or bring her to doctor's appointments or clean her house or take out her garbage or go to the pharmacy for her very important medications. She even then tried getting my older children to spend the night at her place so she could, essentially, have 3 little slaves doing everything for her. She is in a wheelchair due to her own negligence, not medical or elderly normalcy. She's only 69 and she had the chance to have a full knee replacement but decided against it because she was comfortable with her life. I had many conversations telling her I was not her caregiver and even suggested at one point that she get a hold of the state so I could get paid to do these things, but she refused, stating that she wasn't going to give up her disability check every month to ensure I'm paid and insisted she just give me $20 a week to do these things. I said no, told her to stop expecting me to do all these things for her and she ultimately refused to budge, so I went no contact and moved an hour away. Since then she has run into health issues, CHF due to her weight gain, as she refuses to stick to her doctor's diet plan and has diabetes as well now, and against my better judgment I unblocked contact. It's been 5 months since then and I just found out 2 weeks ago that she moved closer to me, yet again. 10 minutes away this time. But again, the calls started. She's now asking me to go clean her home and do her grocery shopping, trying to be manipulative by using my baby as an excuse. Well, I need to bond with my granddaughter so I can do that when you're cleaning my house. The phone calls start at 6 a.m. and sometimes don't end until 10 p.m. and I've now started forwarding all her calls to voicemail because I'm done. Well, my aunt called me today saying that I'm being rotten because my grandmother misses me and just wants to see me. I told her that if that were the case, she would stop asking me to run all over hell's creation and telling me to go clean her house, and told her that since it's her mom, she needs to help her out because it's not my fucking job. Now everyone is mad at me because I'm the closest to my grandmother and they feel I'm being intentionally hostile. Stories number 16. Aita for cancelling a paid vacation after finding out my sister-in-law, who we have been no contact with, was coming. My husband 40 and myself 38 and our 4 children were invited to go on vacation to Cabo. We graciously accepted and began the planning process with the in-laws. They paid for the rooms and we were going to pay for dinners and some outings. We had everything planned. We decided to take a last-minute trip to the beach a month before our Cabo trip. Everything was great. Until our daughter came to us at the end of the trip and said Aunt Casey is coming to Cabo. When asked who told her that, she said Grandpa told her while they were swimming in the pool. My husband and I were immediately upset. Casey, not her real name, is my husband's sister who we have not had contact with in years due to her being physically abusive, provoking fighting amongst her siblings. Husband is one of 5. And brought our children into verbal conflict. Verbal abuse. Violent outburst, poor impulse control. She has been told she needs help many times. And never gets it, blaming everyone and never taking responsibility for anything. Her life has been spiraling out of control for years, never being able to hold any type of relationship. Father-in-law has babied her and let her walk all over him and almost bankrupt him. She calls him names and has manipulated him to a point of no return. My husband cancelled as soon as we found out she was invited. They know our boundaries and have made it clear we will not be at anything she is at. Knowing they wouldn't get the money back, we did offer to pay our portion but they refused. Are we the asshole? They are mad because we cancelled and decided to go on our own vacation. Update: I just want to thank everyone for their input. This is our first ever Reddit post and I never thought it'd get any attention at all. I thought it was crazy to post when a friend mentioned it. I've only ever looked at post on here. We are sticking to not going and have planned our own vacation. We still love them and will never understand their relationship with Casey or how she is able to manipulate them, mostly my FIL, but that not up to us to fix or try to understand. It's our job to protect our kids and keep our peace. Which so many of you understand. It's why we let others make us second guess ourselves over this issue. I guess things can get weird and awkward when money is involved. Thank you again for all the input. Stories number 17. Aita 4, tricking my ex-husband into selling me a Lego set for our daughter. My 19-year-old daughter loves Legos. She asked me for a set that I can't find for less than $260 online. It is retired and 10 years old. I have been looking for about a year. I just can't bring myself to pay $260 for what was once a $70 set. My ex-husband, who doesn't speak to me unless it's about the kids and rarely sees the kids, who are 19, 18 and 16, but he does talk to them on the phone, has this set as he has collected Legos for years. He has it new in box according to my daughter. She has asked for it from him for a couple of years. He said no, it was worth too much. I asked if he would be willing to give it to her for her birthday, or if he would sell it to me at a reasonable price so I could give it to her for her birthday. He refused. So she didn't get it for her birthday back in Jan. He often sells his sets on FB Marketplace. I was looking for this set as I do randomly, hoping to find it. Well, I guess he decided to sell it. He had it listed at $150. I told him I would pay him that if he would sell it to me. No haggling, just straight up give what he was asking. Nope. So I had a male coworker of mine, who my ex doesn't know, offer him the $150 for the set. Of course, since it's not me, he accepted. I gave the coworker the money and he went and got it for me. I sent it to my daughter in college as an Easter gift instead of a gift card like I usually give her. She was so excited that she posted it on her Instagram. She finally got it, didn't tell her where it came from. Ex follows her and I guess put 2 and 2 together and texts me calling me everything under the sun for tricking him. I ignored him as I usually do. But I am wondering, Aita 4, tricking him into selling me the set for our daughter as it was her dream set. Stories number 18. My 38F sister, 34F, made up a dead brother to her spouse, 35M, and in-laws, 60s MNF. I accidentally outed the lie, but why am I the bad guy here? Usually a lurker, but something happened tonight that has me incredibly confused. Apologies in advance for the length. Backstory: I'm the eldest of 4 sisters. We're stair-stepped, 2 years apart. I'm Meg, 38, Joe is 36, Beth is 34, and Amy is 32. Our parents used to joke about how they kept trying for a boy but finally gave up after girl number 4. Not gonna lie, it hurt our feelings a little, especially Amy, but they stopped that and assured us they wouldn't change anything. Every one of us has at least one daughter. I am the only sister that has a son. At 17, he's the eldest grandchild and I'm fairly certain he's my dad's favorite person in the world. They are best friends. It's adorable. Okay, now that you have the backstory fam history, let's talk about tonight. My son, who is very intelligent, and absolutely crushed high school, recently received his acceptance letter to a pretty prestigious university. Full ride. We are incredibly proud. My folks wanted to throw him a little congratulatory party, and tonight worked for all of our schedules, which is no small feat, for different families with 11 kids between them, so we all headed to the folks' house for pizza and cake. At one point, Amy brought up that it is Sibling Appreciation Day, and Mom said she wanted all of her girls to say what we appreciate about our sisters, and we go youngest to eldest, with most of the compliments going to me, as I was kind of a second mom to them. I told each of my sisters how much I loved them, among other things, and then finished my speech off saying something like, and I really appreciate that we didn't have any gross boys stinking up our house. All of us but Beth and her husband laugh. Beth's eyes got really big and her husband, Chase, looked at me like I was something he scraped off the bottom of his shoe. Suddenly, he says, "That's pretty F*** kid up." I said something like, Chase, I've smelled you after your workouts, it's pretty bad," and he got even more mad and said, "How could you talk about Tyler like that?" And Beth starts losing her mind, guys. She's grabbing him by the arm and begging him to hush, saying they need to go home now, etc. So naturally I'm like, who is Tyler? Well, friends. Apparently Tyler is Beth's twin that died during childbirth. And it made our folks and me so depressed that nobody is allowed to speak of him or reference him, ever. Beth forbade him and his parents from ever mentioning to any family member. After Chase told us this, nobody said a word. It was so damn tense. Finally, I just kind of bluntly said, I'm not sure why, but Beth lied to you about this. I think you guys should talk about it, but I don't want to hear anything else about this tonight, as we're here to celebrate my son. After that, Beth burst into tears and ran into her old bedroom, with Chase, Mom, and Joe following her. The party never fully recovered and they took off pretty shortly after that. I stayed behind to help clean, and so my dad and son could hang some more. While I'm doing the dishes, my mom scolded me pretty harshly about calling Beth a liar. If the baby shoe fits, mother. My dad said I wasn't wrong, but I embarrassed Beth. What the hell was I supposed to do? I was getting chastised over a lie. Absolutely not. Beth also texted me that I fucked her over, and a text from Chase's phone told me I was the actual liar's sister and everyone knows that. Amy is on my side, but she and Beth always butted heads. Joe claims she's neutral, but she also told me I didn't have to call her out like that. What the hell else was I supposed to do? Just take the lashing. And why is everyone acting like me calling out what I consider to be a pretty heavy lie is worse than the lie itself? How do we resolve this situation? I love my sisters so damn much, they are my best friends, but this is so weird and so wrong to put on me. Stories number 19. My wife 35F is pregnant with a miracle baby, but I 35M never wanted kids, and now I feel trapped in a life I didn't choose. What can be done? I, 35M, have been with my wife, 35F, for 13 years. We met in college, became close friends, and eventually started dating. We clicked instantly. She was smart, beautiful, grounded, and we shared a lot of the same values. One of those was something pretty major: neither of us wanted children. That wasn't just a lifestyle preference for me, I've always deeply believed I didn't want to be a father. I've dreamed of a quiet, child-free life. My wife, back when we were just friends, once shared that she was told by doctors as a teen that due to hormonal imbalances and a low egg count, she would likely never be able to conceive. Her periods were irregular and extremely short, and multiple specialists over the years confirmed she'd never be able to carry a child. She grieved that, deeply. But by the time we got serious, she had fully embraced a child-free future. That was one of the reasons we worked so well. I even considered getting a vasectomy early in the relationship but didn't go through with it. She physically couldn't get pregnant, so it never felt urgent. We were aligned. Or so I thought. Fast forward to a week ago, she's pregnant. Yes, pregnant. Naturally. The doctor called it a miracle. 1 in a million type scenario. But it's real. She's around 6 weeks along. And now everything I thought I knew about my life has been flipped on its head. My wife is over the moon. At first, she was in shock, then she cried, happy tears, and then she told me she has to keep it. She says this is something she never thought she could have, and now that it's happening, she can't walk away from it. She insists it's fate, a gift, a second chance. She's talking about baby names, cribs, nursery colors, the works. Meanwhile, I'm spiraling. This isn't what I signed up for. I didn't want this 10 years ago. I don't want it now. I love her, truly, but I don't want to be a father. I don't want to be responsible for a life I never asked for. And now I feel like I'm being forced into a role that will completely upend who I am and what I value. Everyone around us, friends, family, even co-workers, are cheering. What a blessing. You guys are going to be great parents. This is meant to be. And no one, not one person, has asked me what I want. It's like my feelings completely disappeared the second the word miracle was used. I've tried to express that I'm struggling. I told her I'm scared and unsure. She just says, you'll change. You'll feel differently once the baby is born. She talks about how much she wants this baby to have a father, me, and how it would hurt her if I wasn't there. She even said if I were to leave now, she'd be devastated and might consider aborting, but not because she wants to, only because she doesn't want to do it alone. She said if I truly didn't want this, she could let me go, but the emotional toll would be massive. I'm stuck. If I leave now, while she's pregnant, I'll be seen as a monster. I worry it will emotionally destroy her, and she might terminate just from heartbreak, not from choice. If I stay until the baby's born and then leave, it will feel like a massive betrayal and false hope. If I stay and pretend to be okay with this, I'll likely fall into resentment and misery, and that will destroy both of us long term. I'm not a villain. I'm not cold. I'm not running from responsibility, I just never wanted this life. I feel like my choices have been taken away from me. And now I'm carrying the crushing guilt of possibly breaking the woman I love or sacrificing everything I ever wanted to try and make something work that goes against my core. Reddit, I don't know what to do. How do you walk away from someone at their most vulnerable without destroying them? How do you stay without lying to yourself and to her? Edit, talking about who knows she can't keep anything to her, so she told my and her mom in hospital itself at evening. She said to our close friend couple. We four were best of friends from college, 2 boys 2 girls, and they both know, and our parents, so 6 people in total except us. Stories number 20. How did blocking that hydrant work out for you? My house backs up on a public park with sports fields and is 4 houses from the park entrance. The entrance to the park is a sidewalk that cuts between 2 houses and there is no parking lot, so street parking only. There is a fire hydrant in front of my house. It is clearly marked, bright yellow, curb painted, and an orange flag sticking out of the top. Despite this, people visiting the park for various sports ball activities routinely miss it and park in front of it. 3 weeks ago, club baseball started. For whatever reason, baseball parents tend to be more observant than other sports ball parents and generally leave a decent gap. Week 1, I was heading out with the dog when I noticed a distinctive electric truck attempting to wedge into the gap. Doggo and I waited for him to finish and told him about the hydrant. He told us to fuck off. Week 2, we're coming back from our walk and noticed that not only is he blocking the hydrant again, but he has a ticket. Later, my husband sees him tear the ticket up and throw it on the ground. He then flipped our house off before he drove away. Week 3, I once again watch him attempting to park in his special spot. Roll my eyes and think some uncharitable thoughts. A few hours later, there's screaming from the front yard. Y'all. The city booted him. In front of the hydrant. And gave him another ticket for parking in front of the hydrant. I wonder what week 4 will bring. Stories number 21. My sister committed suicide. Content warning, suicide. Almost a month ago my older sister hung herself. I got home alone from shopping and found a note addressed to me on the kitchen counter telling me where she was and that she loved me so much. To my knowledge, I am the only person she left a note to. My parents are divorced and my dad was on vacation with his girlfriend and my mom was 30 minutes away at her apartment, so I was home alone. I ran out to where she said she was crying and screaming her name in a panic. There are basically 3 rooms to the shed she was in and I checked the 2 closest and then the last and found her. It gets a little fuzzy after that. I think I let out a blood-curdling scream and was screaming her name and then called my mom and was yelling that she had killed herself. My mom almost didn't believe me and was yelling in shock that she was on her way. I called 911 after she hung up. About 6 minutes later an ambulance, fire truck, and maybe 4 police cars showed up. EMS got her down and got her on a stretcher and started compressions. They rushed her into the ambulance and to the closest hospital while I waited for my mom to arrive so we could go to the hospital. Close to 10 police officers stayed with me while I waited. My mom arrived and the police drove us to the hospital. We eventually got taken back to a room where they said they had been able to restart her heart but it would eventually stop and they had repeated the cycle 2 or 3 times. They said she wasn't reacting to any stimulation and probably had significant brain damage, even if they were able to bring her pulse back for good, which was doubtful. We went in a few minutes later and they were still doing compressions. They did them for about 10 more minutes while we were in there and then it had been the 1-hour mark with no real success. They slowly cleared all the equipment and people in the room, leaving us to say our goodbyes. I had to call my dad and tell him over the phone that his oldest daughter was dead. We saw no signs. She had been planning to go back to college that night, since her spring break was over. She had worked out the night before, got us Chinese food, and did her laundry to pack her bag that day. My sister was only 21. I turned 18 a few months ago. She was my only sibling. I don't know how to be on this earth when she's not. The only thing keeping me here is my parents. I don't think they wouldn't survive the death of their other child. Edit an hour later, a couple of people have mentioned grief trauma therapy. My parents put me into grief therapy I think about a week after it happened. It's going okay. It's unfortunately not my first time having a therapist, although obviously it is for this situation. A few people have also asked what she was like. It almost feels ironic to say this but she was a child at heart. We went to the beach last summer and every day she would beg me to come with her so she could go looking for pretty rocks and shells. We would stay out for hours collecting them, because she wanted to and I was happy to follow her around. She loved crafts and art. She would crochet cute tops and stuffed animals. She loved cats and would have to drink iced coffee every morning. She was very into beauty stuff and always had a ton of products. I've always thought this but she was genuinely so beautiful. I think she could have been a model. I always looked up to her as a role model and she protected me as an older sister. There are a few more graphic heartbreaking details I omitted from my post as I wasn't sure if I was wasting my time because I didn't know if anyone would comment. I go away for school and have not returned yet. I only have one friend in the area. I'm not usually very active on Reddit, but I've been feeling incredibly lonely without her here. Anyways, thank you guys so much for all the support and internet hugs. Reading through everyone's comments has been comforting in a time where there's not much comfort to be found. Stories number 22. AIO, husband quit his job with no notice and no plan. I've been with my husband for over 20 years. I love him, and have never doubted that he's my person. Normally, we function as a couple extremely well. I consider myself to be very lucky in love, but I've been working 2 jobs because it has been my goal to get totally out of debt this year. 100% of my second job income was going towards debt. I barely have any free time at all, and can't remember the last time I had a day free to myself. I've been on the grind hard. Our economy is only getting scarier. Well, my husband came home this week unexpectedly stating that he quit his job. He was miserable and mistreated where he worked. I've been begging him to find something new, but, I kinda wanted him to have a new job lined up first. I'm miserable where I work too, and my company is aggressively downsizing. Husband is well aware that my job security for my primary job is very thin, non-existent. And he still chose to do this. He didn't give a 2 weeks notice and he didn't have any kind of a plan for what comes next. I wanted him to get out of there, yes, but not like this. I feel like I've been betrayed. I feel like I'm seeing my debt-free dreams turn to ash before my eyes. I can't even express to him how upset and worried I am without him going into a fit of self-deprecating tears. I haven't really been able to have a productive talk with him. He just melts down and starts yelling about how he ruined our lives. I love him, but I'm heartbroken and I feel like I'm utterly alone in the world now because my partner stabbed me in the back. I didn't agree to be the only provider. ETA, felt I should add some more context for how I'd be overreacting to this. I'm pretty upset and scared and I feel like he thinks I should be more supportive since I did want him to leave where he was to begin with. Update, hi, AIO friends. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to those of you who have voiced support for me and also for my husband because I do love him and I'm super worried about him. I needed this sanity check, so thank you. I honestly never imagined this would get so much attention, or start so many arguments. It's becoming a bit overwhelming for me, so I may not be able to keep up with the comments much longer, but I thank everyone for their kind words, for me and for the man I do still and always will love. Stories number 23. AITA for saying my boyfriend's friend can't visit us now that I'm pregnant. My boyfriend has a friend who is currently doing the whole #vanlifing thing and living out of his van. The past several months, this friend has been coming by our house a couple days a week. Each time he's here, he stays around 10 to 12 hours to use the shower, kitchen, washing machine, and Wi-Fi. I've been unhappy with the lack of privacy and the extra work for quite a while, which my boyfriend is well aware of, but I've been putting up with it because the friend is down on his luck and could use some help. However, now that I'm pregnant, I'm ready for this situation to end. I want to be able to lay on my couch without pants, not shove my giant, tired boobs into a bra constantly, and talk about my private medical details with my partner without having to whisper about them in another room. I'm also just worn out in general, and the friend is generating so much extra work. He comes into our home after doing construction jobs and tracks in tons of dust and dirt. Every time he showers he somehow leaves a thick coating of body hair all over the shower I have to clean up before I can shower again. After he uses the washing machine there's sticks and leaves and sand all over the laundry room. Not only does he hog the kitchen when I want to cook meals sometimes, but he also leaves all his dirty dishes for me to deal with afterwards. Ideally, I'd have my boyfriend deal with the extra work, since he's the one who's inviting the dude over, but with his busier work schedule, most of the household work falls to me. So to me, it's a no-brainer that the friend finds somewhere else to be for a couple months to give me some privacy and a break from the added work. However, when I brought this up to my boyfriend and told him it was time to set a boundary with the friend, he told me it was first of all, a very awkward and weird thing to ask his friend, and secondly, a cruel and insensitive thing for me to request. He's willing to do so for me, but at the same time, is making it very clear he thinks I'm a monster for even asking him to do this. Is it actually reasonable for me to put a no visitors rule in place for a few months or not? Stories number 24. Aita for untagging myself from my guy best friend's IG post after he cropped my fiancé out of our engagement pic. So I got engaged 2 weeks ago. Me, 25F, and my man, 27M, were on this Napa trip with a few close friends, including my best friend Jay, 26M. We've been tight since college, always just friends, never anything else. Anyway, my man proposes during sunset in the vineyard, super cute, private, perfect moment. Jay takes some pics of us right after, and one of them Straight fire. I'm crying, he's hugging me, ring poppin', like it looks straight outta a damn commercial. Cool cute whatever. Then this dude posts it on his IG, but he crops my fiancé out. Like bro, what? Just me in the pic. No caption like, congrats, or, happy for you. Just straight up posted it like it was a solo shoot. No tag for my man. Just, she's glowing, and vibes. I hit him like, yo, this kinda weird. That was my engagement photo. And he hits back with, you looked so good in it, I just had to post. Like okay. But again, not about you, not a thirst trap, this was me getting engaged. So I just untagged myself. Didn't make a scene. Just moved on. Then he starts being mad weird. Posting stories like, funny how people switch up, and, too real for the fake. Like okay, Drake. Now some of our friends are acting like I overreacted, saying I should have been flattered, and that he was just being supportive. Supportive would have been keeping my man in the pic and maybe saying congrats, not acting like I was the star of his content drop. So yeah, all that. Stories number 25. I'm 50M, she's 42F, ended our 5-year relationship because she refuses to admit what I heard her say. What's going on? I'm Davis, 50M. My girlfriend of 5 years, Magnolia, 42F, not our real names, and I just broke up after a bizarre phone call 2 weeks ago turned our lives into a mess. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it and could use help figuring this out. It started one morning when Magnolia called me after dropping her kids off at school. I picked up, but before I could even say, hello, I overheard her talking to someone. You taking Nigel out for it? She fumbled when she realized I was on the line, going, oh shit. Davis? You there? Hello? Hello? I thought it was just innocent parent chit-chat, so I didn't think much of it at the time. 2 days later, I flashed back to that call, so I asked her casually, hey babe, by the way, who's Nigel? She absolutely lost it. What, you're snooping through my phone now? She yelled, chucking her phone at me, hard, and demanding I show her where I got that name. I'm just standing there totally confused, wondering why she's acting like I've committed a crime. I explained I heard her say, Nigel, on the call, but she tries to shut it down. I don't know any Nigel. I've never heard the name Nigel before. Where is this Nigel question coming from? I never said that. I know 100% I never said that, she insisted, saying I'm so paranoid about her cheating and must have hallucinated and made it up. I'm certain I heard her right, but she wouldn't budge. Things got ugly. She was so mad she slapped me across the face with her shoe, straight up took her shoe off and slapped me across the face for accusing her of something she did not do. I wasn't sticking around for that, so I walked out, even though we were supposed to have dinner with her parents that night. Naturally, she's now spinning the narrative into a story about how I disrespected her family, which is completely unacceptable and unforgivable, according to her, making me out to be the bad guy while she's the poor victim, because I left after she hit me. That was the last straw. I told her I've lost all respect for her after this nonsense. She fired back that she's done too, saying she deserves someone who respects her for who she really is, someone who trusts her, not someone who thinks this lowly of her. So, after 5 years together, we're over. She still won't say a peep about who Nigel is and keeps spinning it like I'm hearing things and that I'm the problem. It was raining that morning. There's no way you would have been able to hear a background conversation with the way that it was raining, it was pouring. Some might disagree with that. How many times have you heard something and there was nothing there? Absolutely zero. I keep replaying that phone call, questioning if I misheard, but I know I didn't. It's tearing me up. Any thoughts on what's happening? Any ideas on how to figure out who Nigel is or why she's acting like this? My gut tells me that he's the child of somebody that she's desperately trying to keep their identity a secret from me, for whatever reason. I'm at a loss, so thanks for any advice. Stories number 26. Yesterday was my birthday. I bought myself a birthday cake and my mom and stepdad ate all of it with their friends who had come over to hang out with them the night before my birthday while I was in my bedroom. They didn't even leave me one slice. My mom, 40F, completely changed after my stepdad, 42M, and stepsister moved in. She treats my stepsister more like her own child while I'm, 19M, forgotten. She stopped acknowledging my birthdays around then. At first she would forget that it's my birthday although I'd mention it days before, and when I mention it day of she would simply be like, oh happy birthday, then carried on with whatever she was doing. No hug, no special meal or cake, just nothing. One time she snapped at me when I reminded her that it's my birthday. She told me that I was no longer a child and that there's nothing special about my birthday, so I stopped mentioning it and started treating it like any other day. She never wished me since then. But funny enough, she never forgets my stepsister's birthday. She builds it up days before and goes out of her way to make my stepsister's birthday special. They take her wherever she wants to go. My mom personally gets her favorite cake, not to mention the gifts she gets from both of them. This year I was able to buy myself a really nice birthday cake with my own money. It had sprinkles and everything. I bought it on the day before and put it in the fridge so that I could eat it on my actual birthday the next day. 2 of my friends were going to come over. It sounds stupid, but I even bought some candles to blow out. I just wanted to celebrate for once because I realized that I have the power to do it differently this time around. The next day on my birthday, I was grabbing something from the fridge in the morning when I noticed that my cake was gone. My mom and stepdad had already left, so I texted my mom to ask her, and basically she and my stepdad ate it with their friends who had come over for game night, and my stepsister ate the rest. So I didn't get to eat my own birthday cake that I bought myself. My mom basically blamed me. First she said it didn't look like a birthday cake to her, then continued to say I shouldn't have put it in the fridge if I didn't want to share it with my family. She said I was childish and way too old to be fussing over birthdays and that I'm acting like a girl. Is it really that horrible to want to enjoy your birthday as a 19-year-old male? I just wanted it to be special for once, but it just turned out like every other year. Stories number 27. My mom said if killing was not a sin she would stab me to death. My mom made it very clear that she absolutely despised me when I, 23 male, was a kid. Going into detail about how stupid and dumb I was, how she wished she never gave birth to me, how she hates me, and saying that if the Bible didn't say that killing was a sin she'd get a knife and stab me to death. She many times called me a slimy, gross-looking piece of trash who came from the sewer. This one moment back when I was around 13 years old that I'll never forget was when she looked at me with a disgusted look on her face and said I made her feel nauseous and that she felt disgusted looking at me. I remember running out of the house and into the woods wanting to commit suicide. Wishing that I was never born. Wishing that I was dead. I am 23 years old now, still in so much pain because of all of this. When I think about this I want to kill myself. Stories number 28. Help with recommendations for gifting my BF again. Sue, after I gave him Casio Edifice ED605 on Valentine's and saw how happy it made him, I wanted to get him another one as a random, surprisee, "I'm glad you exist," gift. I did some research on automatic watches and this Timex TWEG208 SMU01 seems to be the best automatic watch under 10 to 15K. It features a 21 joules Miyota 82S0 movement with 44mm stainless steel case, silver skeletal dial with brown straps. There was a similar model in Titan as well, but I specifically wanted the dark brown strap with the silver dial and they didn't seem to have it. I've already placed my order. I just want some reassurance in the choice I made. P.S. The recommendations for the next watch would help me save up. I'm looking for something casual and sporty, light brown leather strap with white dial or something y'all think would fit the casual category. Adios. Overall comments feel, discussions of various watches and price points. Update. Sue, I surprised my boyfriend with a Timex automatic when he returned back home after spending 2 weeks at his hometown for Holi and was feeling all proud of myself. Tell me why bro casually pulls out another box right after I gave him mine. I deadass thought it was gonna be a Jumka, his hometown is famous for them. Nope. My man hits me with a fucking Tizat, my first one, hee hee. She's an absolute beauty and I'm shooketh. Did I just get one upped? Yes. Am I mad about it? Absolutely not. Comments. Additional details in comments. Reply, the one he's wearing is a Timex automatic TWEG 208 SMU01. MRP's 10K, got it for 7K. I'm not sure of the model number of the one I'm wearing, but he got it for 26K-ish. Comment 1, inshallah it is a beauty. Comment 2, anyway both are good watches in their own category and in fact both have a huge repute and legacy. Having said that I would add, both stays in the same family. Comment 3, it looks like everyone is getting gifts from their GF, BF or father. Comment 4, as much as I can admire both the watches, can't refrain from noticing how good the OP's veins are. Especially for cannulization, no offense OP, just my profession things grimacing face. Comment 5, subtle medicine flex. I get it though, those veins would be perfect for cannulation, not that the OP needs it. Reply, I'm a doctor as well lol so I get it XD. Stories number 29. How do I, 30F, break up with my boyfriend, 30M, of 11 years when we have this huge dream trip planned and I found out he wants to propose during it. My boyfriend and I have been together for 11 years and we have been through a lot together. I am thankful for all these years, but have decided to end the relationship. It is a very well thought through decision. There is no bad blood. I just think that our needs are on opposite ends of the spectrum and we keep trying our best to make it work and we keep coming back to the same argument and problems over and over again and can't resolve them. We have this big trip for our common friend's wedding coming up in 4 weeks to a place where we have been dreaming of going, on the opposite side of the globe. It has especially been a big dream of his to go. And we get to experience traditional wedding celebration there. I found out he has been planning to propose to me on that trip. The thing is that marriage is something he doesn't care about, but I do. And he has been pissed at people for pushing him for it, because I want it, so therefore we need to get married. And I have told him to disregard it and forget the topic. That it is something between us two and that I will shut down any nagging about it if it comes up, and I have been doing that. That it's okay if we don't do it ever. TBH, I have been waiting so long, that I kind of gave up on the idea. He has been planning this proposal for 2 years. Wanted to make it his way. Got a custom ring. We have been having more issues than normal this past autumn, and in January we have talked about possibly breaking up. It was a very civil conversation and I was ready to break up, but he persuaded me to try once more. And I have been quite miserable since then. I have thought about it a lot, talked it over with my therapist, and I truly believe that breaking up will be the best for both of us in the long run. We both deserve to find someone with whom relationship is not an uphill battle. I would feel like an asshole if he didn't go on the dream trip because of me. But I don't want to be manipulative either. He is depressed, have been for majority of our relationship, has issues at work and has me as his basic source of support. These are the options I see. I talk with him and say that I love him and want to go on the trip with him, but I think we should break up after it. That I will be available to him as a friend, if he needs support or talk things over, but we will move out of the apartment, find new places to live and split ways. Neither of us can afford this apartment on their own. I tell him I know about proposal and that I am not ready for such big decisions when we have talked about breaking up just this January. We go on the trip, no proposal, break up at some point afterwards. I have a common friend that knows about his plans, talk with him, ask how is it now, he also knows about January, and persuade him gently not to propose. Break up sometime afterwards. We go on the trip. He probably proposes, I say no and break his heart. And make the trip a bad experience. Just posting it as an option for the sake of listing all options. I can't do it. That's cruel. We break up and I pray he finds strength in himself to go on the trip alone or with me as friends. What do you guys think is the best course of action? How do I do this with respect to him? What would you prefer to happen if you were him? Stories number 30. Aita for telling my boyfriend's mom I'm not trying to steal her son and that she needs to stop acting like we're co-wives. So, I, 18F, have been dating this guy, 19M, for about 6 months now. He's sweet, caring, and overall a good guy though. I've noticed he's a bit attached to his mom. I thought it was cute at first, but it's starting to get out of hand. At first, it was just small things. She'd correct the way I say things, and would remind me at every family dinner that no girl could ever take care of him like I do. I shrugged it off, thinking it was just a mom thing. But now it's getting weird. She told me I shouldn't wear certain colors around him because it's her favorite. She calls herself his first woman and says it like she's proud of it. She once texted me at 3 a.m. saying, he's coughing. Why aren't you with him? The best part? When I made him lunch one day, she examined it and told me it had too much seasoning, and that I was probably affecting his health. Finally, I had enough. I sat her down and said, I'm not trying to replace you. You're his mom, not his soulmate. Please stop trying to compete with me. She went completely quiet, then turned around and told the entire extended family that I disrespected her role as his mother. My boyfriend's now freaking out, saying I made things worse and that I should have just let it slide since she's sensitive. But honestly, I'm not going to be in a relationship with a guy and his mom who thinks we're in some weird soap opera. I'm trying to be respectful, but she's making it impossible. Stories number 31. My 23F partner, 26M, stormed out of our apartment after I told him I couldn't give him the support he wanted right now because my friend just died. Help. Okay, so it's totally okay if you go to your partner to talk about things that are upsetting you. Same for them coming to you. I get it, it's normal to do that. What my boyfriend of 2 years does is a bit much. Literally, we were having a completely normal conversation. We were talking about a TV show we really enjoy after I had just gotten off of a 12-hour shift. I just wanted an easy evening, and I told him that. I told him that right now I don't have the mental space to deal with anything else on top of what I already am dealing with. A friend of mine just killed herself not even 2 days ago, and I'm a nurse, so I'm exhausted on top of everything else. It was cool and chill until I stopped talking to turn on said show for us to watch. Then, out of nowhere, he started talking about how much he hated his dad. This would be fine if it didn't happen every time we spoke. Like, even on the day I found out my best friend in the entire world killed herself, He started talking about his dad and about how much he doesn't like him and how he doesn't feel respected by him and about how much it sucks that his dad won't change. I get it, not having a good relationship with a parent is hard and I give him the space to talk about it usually, but I just can't handle it right now. Literally I got off the phone with my friend's sobbing mom and I was in a weird foggy headspace where nothing felt real. I told him what was up, he said sorry and hugged me, and then not even 15 minutes later, the same conversation that we've had a million times came up again. I ended up just sitting there barely paying attention while he talked at me for over an hour before I excused myself and took a bath. I told him very bluntly tonight that I really just need a few days to mentally recover, and I don't believe I'm in the space to comfort him the way he needs, and he totally flipped out on me. He called me a bitch, told me I was completely selfish and that he needs to talk about his dad so he doesn't obsess over it. He told me I don't understand what he's going through because I never had a dad in my life to begin with. I got defensive because that comment hurt my feelings, which made everything worse. I told him that, yeah, I didn't have a relationship with my dad but I don't spend every hour of every day talking about it. He ended up screaming at me that I need to shut my fucking mouth and he hit the wall beside my head. Then he got his car keys and drove off, leaving me there. He still isn't back and it's 1 a.m. His location is off, he hasn't returned my phone calls. All I got from him was a concerning text message around 11:30 saying, "You're completely unempathetic to what I'm going through. I hope you think about your actions. I don't know what to do going forward from here. I want to have a conversation with him about all of this when he gets home, but I don't even know where to start." This is the first time in our entire relationship where I've told him I don't have the mental space. This is also the first time in our relationship where he stormed out like this. I feel guilty because I know the relationship with his dad upsets him, and I absolutely shouldn't have gotten defensive, but I just don't have it in me to offer comfort. Is there any other way I can say to him that I don't have the space? Update, I'm not going to lie, the moment comments started coming in about abuse, I felt sick. Luckily the panic I felt lit a fire under my ass. I freaked out, spam called my brother at like 2 in the morning to wake him up, grabbed my basic essentials and a few bits of clothing and left. I'm staying at my brother and his husband's house right now because that's what they told me to do. I turned off my location, I haven't returned his calls or texts. He got home an hour ago and started spam calling me when he realized I wasn't there. He's throwing out a lot of apologies and begging right now and I feel completely overwhelmed with guilt and this need to be there for him. But I don't want to be the thing he hits next. I just want to say I am eternally grateful for everyone here. And I'm grateful for my brother who was absolutely horrified when I told him what happened and opened his home to me. I'm going to talk to my mom and we're going to figure out a way to get me out of there and away from him permanently. Thank you all so much again. I'm going to get some more rest, I just wanted to let everyone know I was safe. Update, my 23F partner, 26M, stormed out of our apartment after I told him I couldn't give him the support he wanted because my friend died. Help. Hi, I just wanted to come on here to say one thing, everyone who said he's abusive was completely correct. These past 48 hours have been nothing short of a nightmare. My now ex-BF started with extremely apologetic texts, telling me how he never meant to react like that he'll get therapy, that he'll do anything if I just come back home. Once those didn't get a response, he started getting desperate. There were a lot of threats of suicide, he told me he needed me to drive him to the mental hospital because he didn't trust himself. At that point I called him and I told him I'd call a welfare check for him, but I won't be driving him anywhere. Then he got mean, telling me that I should consider myself lucky that he loves me because no one else ever will. He accused me of sleeping around, he told me that my friend killed herself because I neglected her just like I'm neglecting him. That shit broke me. I told him that we're done and that I need to come get my stuff, so he needs to be out of the apartment. I also told him that I wasn't coming alone and that my brother and my BL were coming to help me. I went to get my things earlier today while he was at work. He trashed my apartment. There were holes in the walls. He destroyed all my clothing. He tore up photos. My makeup is ruined. Anything that he thought might have sentimental value to me is destroyed. Fuck man, I took photos of everything. I don't know what to do about the damage to the actual walls of my apartment or what to do about the lease. I'm thinking of filing a protective order against him in case he starts showing up to my job. I'm just done. I'm checking out for a while and I'm going to focus on restarting and getting myself back together. Stories number 32. Boyfriend won't help with anything. Boyfriend and I have lived together for 2 years. I have begged him to help me do dishes or anything to help me. I have 2 jobs. He has 1. He expects that I'll wait on him hand and foot like bringing him a plate after I've cooked the meal. After the meal, I have to collect his plate and clean up the mess because he won't help clean or do anything. I've tried to talk to him about it. He just gets defensive and tells me he's not doing it. With his card didn't work. I took him where he wanted or needed to go. He expects me to do for him all the time, but can't do anything for me. What do I do? Update, I told him how I felt and he told me, I'll just move out since I'm so shitty, and that was all. Can I change the gas bill to being in my name not his, or does he have to do that? Stories number 33. Aita for going out to eat when my husband is working late shifts. My husband and I work different shifts. I work first shift and he works a late second shift. So we don't often eat dinner together because he leaves for work right before I get home and he gets home from work after I am asleep. We also have very different tastes in foods. He has a more basic, American food-based diet and he also loves seafood. I love foods from other cultures, but I don't like seafood. Because of this, when we are home together we cook different meals and eat it together. If I make something he likes, I'll ask if he wants some. If he makes something I like, he does the same. But we always eat together on our days off, whether it be eating out on a date or eating cooked food at home. We've been doing this for years and it's worked, but since we work different shifts, 5 to 6 days per week, I am eating dinner alone. I usually cook, but a couple times per month, I go out to a restaurant that serves food he doesn't like to have dinner. When we are talking later, I usually tell him how I had something from a restaurant and he asks how it was and I tell him. No biggie. The other day I was out trying a Peruvian restaurant recommended by a coworker. My husband and I had looked at the menu and he didn't see anything he was particularly looking forward to on it, so I added it to my list of places to go when he works. And I went that day. He got out of work early and called me and I told him where I was. And he got mad. I finished up and went home and he was upset and asked how long this has been going on for. I was confused because he knows I do this. But apparently he thought I did pickup or delivery. I tend to eat in because I don't want dishes at home. He also can't really explain why he is so mad, but it seems he's mad I'm out dining alone. I just go out, get food, and read while I wait and eat. Then I come home. It's always food he won't like as well, so I go alone so I can have it. He hasn't been really talking to me since it happened. The conversations are short and cold and it makes me feel like I did something wrong by doing this for years and not specifying I eat in the restaurant to do it. He has never acted this way about anything else, he has always been very kind and willing to work through any issues we have. So I am not sure what's different with this. Aita for going out to eat alone and not specifying to my husband that I ate in the restaurant. Stories number 34. Aita for telling my dad he has to decide between me attending his wedding and accepting I won't take part in the family unity ceremony or accept I won't be there. My dad's engaged to his partner of 2-ish years. They moved in together last month and their wedding is in December. 17 am dad's only bio kid. His almost wife has 3 kids of her own. Her kids are younger, like under 10, maybe they're even all under 8, I'm not that sure. They decided they want to do a family unity ceremony and have it be about becoming one family instead of the 2 of them being a married couple. His future stepkids are excited by the idea and want to take part. I don't and won't take part. I already explained to him that I'm not interested and can't be talked into it. He asked me why and pushed for me to reconsider. He told his wife and she's freaking out because her kids have this idea that they'll get a big brother out of this marriage and my dad and her told the kids will be real siblings once the 2 of them are married. All of this despite the fact I really don't know her or her kids. I have really only spent any real time with the kids twice and it was more me trying not to be a dick than me wanting to spend time or get to know them. I think that and I think that's obvious because I don't know their actual ages. Some background to explain some relationship dynamics because I'm sure there are questions. My dad raised me alone. My mom took off when I was less than a year old. I don't remember her. I don't remember her being around. Her family wasn't around or in my life either. I didn't have a lot of family besides my dad growing up. Except for one of his siblings. And for most of my life Dad was a good dad. But when I was maybe 11 he started preparing me for the fact he wanted his own life and travel the world when I turned 18 and I'd be on my own. He talked about how I should not expect to see him very often and to expect we might not see each other for years sometimes and how he doesn't want to be tied down until he dies. That he would call or answer calls when he wasn't busy with life. He said some stuff that made me believe he resented the fact he raised me alone and had to change his life for me. He never actually let up on that. He talked about it so much that we started to fight and I told him I got it and he was done being a dad at 18 and he told me I was being dramatic. I argued that he told me I could go 5 or maybe even more years without seeing him and he didn't want to be tied down. That he might even ignore calls so he could live life. I told him that sounded like he wanted to stop being a dad. He told me I focused on the wrong parts. When we argued about it other times he said that he wanted the life he missed out on and he wasn't waiting around for me to be ready. That I'd land on my feet eventually and I wouldn't be his kid anymore, I'd be his peer. Which he then said I picked up wrong, but basically for years I have been prepared to leave at 18 and not have my dad in it. Then he met his almost wife and all that talk about traveling the world was gone. He started to become a dad to her kids. He was spending time with them and building a life with them. Eventually he tried to include me, but that was only really in the last 4 or 5 months. But I've ignored it. I did babysit twice for them. Once when his almost wife was rushed to hospital and the second time when his almost wife had a follow-up surgery for health issues she has. My dad has tried to argue that our family is growing and I should be trying harder to be included in it. I told him that won't happen. And if he wants whatever half-assed relationship he planned to have with me before then he needs to accept that. That I'll come to his wedding if he wants me there as long as he accepts I won't be a part of that ceremony and if he can't accept it then I won't go and he'll need to accept that. His almost wife heard us talk it out and she said I'm not taking the 11 good years into it and I'm punishing her children for my dad not being perfect and that isn't fair to them. She told me a good person would be glad dad decided to stick around and love the new people, especially the kids, and want better for them. Aita. And for full disclosure I have about a month to go until I'm 18 and my plan is to move out that day. Update, Aita for telling my dad he has to decide between me attending his wedding and accepting I won't take part in the family unity ceremony or accept I won't be there. I debated posting my update and I still might chicken out but I'll write it out and see whether I post or not. I know people wanted an update and I was asked to talk more about what my plans were. I shared some details in my original post but things have changed because I moved out. Technically kicked out. On the day I made my post I had plans to sleep at a friend's house. Once I got there my dad sent a text saying his partner was rushed to the hospital again and he needed me to babysit again. I told him no once and that was it. A few hours later my dad asked where the hell I was and why had I said no when this was an emergency. He sent multiple texts but when he realized I really wouldn't babysit and had stayed, wherever the hell I was, he went off on and he told me if I won't babysit and be there for the family then I better stay gone. He texted me the next morning, yesterday technically, and said I was not living under his roof after that stunt and to stay the fuck gone. I knew he meant it so when everyone was out I went to the house and grabbed everything I had prepared to leave with when following my plan exactly. That included all the important documents I had, clothes and anything I bought or that was given to me by people who aren't my dad. It was basically all ready to go anyway and I got in and out without a fight. My friend's parents are letting me stay until I can follow through with my original plan which was to get somewhere with a friend locally until we all graduate and then some friends and I will be moving state. We've been working on this for a long time now. Honestly I have been working my ass off to save money to be able to leave regardless of whether I had help from friends but having them definitely helps. My dad sent more texts since I grabbed all my stuff. He tried to guilt and shame me and talked about how much the kids needed me and I wasn't there. But he also let out way more of his resentment toward me and it confirmed what I already knew about him. He doesn't regret the way he treated me since I was 11. He meant every word he said. And that he expected me to pay him back for raising me, but I won't. I'm not staying to be treated like shit. He still wants me out of his house and he reminded me that I was not welcome back. That he better not come home to find me there ever again, so that's my update. It's been a crazy couple of days and I got so many comments on my post. Way more than I expected. I know a few people tried to convince me that he really did love me and didn't resent me and was trying to make it up to me. But after all this I'm more convinced he resents me and the trying to include me lately was an act to make me someone who could do stuff for him. I don't believe I ever had the dad I originally thought I had. Because I don't think an actual good and loving dad would shut it all off one day for no good reason. Things have changed a little but I'll keep working toward my plan. I'll also make sure I make it up to my friends' parents because I know this was unexpected for them and I'm grateful they let me stay. Stories number 35. Aita for not letting my wife's AP go to her funeral. My wife passed away. She was in a car accident. We had separated for a few months, and this was due to her wanting to be with her AP partner. They had been together for about a year and a half. They told me they had been genuinely in love. The divorce hasn't been finalized, so legally speaking, I am responsible for my wife's body. We have 2 kids. Both of them in their teens, they have been a mess. I can't say I've been much better. At one point, I was so angry at my wife that I wanted her to get hurt, now I find myself wishing she was still here with me and our kids. I've been making arrangements for the funeral, and the AP has reached out to me on social media. He's been asking if he could know if we are gonna have a funeral or a memorial service or something. I told him to fuck off. I keep justifying this. I'm trying to keep my family from falling apart, and I've been dealing with the funeral costs. There's just so much I need to do. But I'd be lying if I said part of me didn't wish for this guy to hurt. Edit, AP means affair partner. This is the guy my wife had been cheating on me with for over a year. We had the funeral, and it didn't really go well. Honestly, against my better judgment, I decided to let AP know about, on the condition that he would promise me to stay away from my kids and I, and not make a scene. I told him he needed to stay away from everyone and not let himself be known. No one really wanted him there. The funeral was peaceful at first. I didn't give any sort of eulogy. I really couldn't bring myself to. Both my kids did, and so did my wife's sister and parents. When things were dying down, my daughter asked if she could stay with her mom's gravestone for a bit. I, of course, told her it's okay. She asked me to come with her, which I did. I asked my son if he wanted to come with us. He said he wanted to stay with Grandpa, my mom's dad, for a bit. That's when things went wrong. My wife's sister came to get me, and my wife's parents were upset when they saw AP. I'm not really sure what happened, but my wife's dad was calling him out. AP tried to argue back. I stepped in and refused the situation. I told AP to get out. He did. My wife's parents were incredibly upset with me for letting AP into the funeral. My son was clearly shaken by this. My daughter thankfully didn't catch any of this, but I think she is also upset by this. I regret letting AP know. I don't know when my wife's parents, which I consider family, will talk to me again. My son seems to be disappointed in me. Honestly, my wife's sister has been the only one who's been supportive. It was stupid. It was just stupid. Edit, something that kept coming up. AP means affair partner. Sorry, I have been spending a lot of time in online spaces dealing with my wife's betrayal. These kinds of terms just kind of stuck with me.